Boomer in the Morning, brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course, voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960 The Fan.
Punch me in the face.
That's about right. Hoof, where? When did you know that it was over? When did you know that we were going to be waking up this morning and talking about a Flames defeat?
8:17
of the period.
Well, just go back in our group chat.
Or?
Go back in our group chat.
Is that when it came through? Yeah.
8:17 p.m. Seems like McDavid doesn't feel like losing tonight.
Yeah, it was obvious, wasn't it? You could see it in his eyes, and I know they talked about it on the broadcast. Was like, yeah, he's ready tonight. Had to settle for 1 point the other night. How embarrassing! Flames absolutely put egg on his face, having to settle for a single point in a defeat, as he and Leon put on a show last night. 7-3 the final, as the Flames take it to the tune of a seven goals against for the second time in less than a month against the Edmonton Oilers.
And for context, I believe that would be 2-0 in the first period, because not all of us will have our game sheet with Mountain Standard Time beside the goals. That
I'm trying to think.
Warner suggests McDavid did not feel like losing.
And I was wondering, was it already 2-0 or was it 1-0 at that point? I'm trying to remember. Because you're right. Either way, it was pretty obvious.
Tell us.
How about early on?
Yeah, it was very early. That everything we'd come to see out of the Flames in the last three, the dumping, the chasing, the hitting, the speed, they didn't even get a chance to get the puck out of their end in order to dump it. You need to get to center to dump it, and they were having a hard time with all of that. As they came in waves, they were the better team to start. They were the better team all night. And, I mean, is it the end of the world? It's not. Were they going to never lose again with Sutter? Well, of course not. But a wake-up call, I guess. If you thought everything was repaired, all the warts were gone and everything was fixed, as Darryl said about 2 or 3 times after the game. Lots of work to do. This is a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Which, of course, it is. Yeah, keep in mind, whether they lost 1-0 in a barn burner or 7-3, it's the same in the standings, and they have the same number of games left, and their probability of making the playoffs is the same. There was anyone thinking they'd win 4 straight against teams they were chasing in the standings? Like 3 out of 4 is great. So
when you say
bury your loss, move along. Because it didn't go well last night doesn't mean you can't come out and work harder and take fewer dumb penalties and clear pucks a little better, win battles at the line more Friday against Toronto. I think that's going to be the message from Darryl. It doesn't matter. They lost 7-3 or 4-3. We didn't get any points, and we're in Toronto tomorrow.
Do you think that's the Darryl read on it?
Well, Rhett played for him, so don't ask me. But
I would probably agree with that. I mean, he's not going to drown in this loss. I'm sure last night he was upset about it.
But you're not casting it aside. You're taking some things from that game.
Well, it's easy. You go back for the first 3 games. So, new coach, lots of energy. I said it yesterday. Eventually, that's going to wear off. And I think last night they took their foot off the gas a little bit. Plus, Edmonton upped their game. So, 2 things not good. When you take your foot off the gas, you're not moving. Well, now you're turning pucks over. Doubles down when Edmonton's coming at you with speed, blah, blah, blah. So, but all the little things that they did well in the wins were the glaring things that cost them the loss last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a complete retool. Get your feet moving, play with that energy, and don't turn pucks over. And when you're dumping pucks, just as importantly, put them in the spots where you can influence the direction they're going, right? Do a good dump so that when they go back, they're not picking pucks up and just flying back out. So I don't think it's a work in progress, but it's, in a way, it's like back to basics. Okay, don't turn pucks over.
Yeah, and a reminder,
again,
dumb penalties, man.
Yes, that was the other thing.
3 out of 4, totally unnecessary. And that's what Daryl had said post-game. His post-game highlighted silly penalties, turning over the puck. That's always going to be a message coming off most losses, isn't it? Like,
yes,
you can't
and more than manageable.
4 power plays and play like that.
More than manageable. You can fix those things. Okay. Yep.
And I don't know. It's weird. Like, a lot of people, Twitter's not usually the best place for rational thought. It's usually a great place for people that are angry and want to make loud noises. But, well, here they are. This is the real Flames. It's like, well, so they lose once, they win 3. You've made up your mind about the team. So after the loss, now you're saying, well, here they are again. That's it. Did they have to go 30-0 under Daryl to not be the old team? Like, that's cherry picking. Is this team perfect? No.
I feel it's cherry picking but it's cherry picking for you to go completely rose-colored glasses on it.
I'm not. I think they're like 50-50 to make the playoffs at best. That's not rose colors. That's reality.
It would be cherry picking if you hadn't seen them lose in this fashion prior. If it was kind of a one-off, it's like, wow, there it is. See, told you it couldn't last. But they lost very much in the same way less than a month ago.
But it doesn't matter. They haven't won the way they've won 3 games in a row. That's what's more important.
They had a 3-game winning streak earlier in the season.
No, but
were they played like that? They didn't put 60 minutes together like any of those 3 wins they just put together. The whole season. Like, it's so negative to only focus on the one bad game when there was lots of positives in the first 3. And it doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs, but it certainly indicates where people are at in terms of how they've already made up their minds. If you can't see positives in the first 3 games and you only see negatives in that one loss, like, come on, give your head a shake. Of course they're not perfect. We know that. The truth is going to be they're not a 750 hockey club, which they are under Daryl right now, but they're also not going to lose by 4 every night. We know that. So let's let it play out and not forecast what we already think is going to happen.
What were you going to say, Ren?
I don't think because they lost like Lucic last night. He gets ripped again for the turnover. It was a reactionary play. Puck's in the middle of the ice. He's trying to chip it up and get in. I'm sure he's like, use the walls. But I don't think this team reverts back to the lack of emotion and lack of care look that they had prior to Daryl coming in, right?
Yeah, I would say you probably have a little bit more confidence in their response in 2 nights' time than maybe you did before.
It's in Toronto, correct? They might not beat Toronto. Good team.
Yeah.
But I think they'll revert back to a style of game that makes them competitive, that they can build off of and still have that foundation that we were talking about. Right? And there might be a turnover. And most teams that lose because they turn pucks over and they're flat. And I don't even know if the Flames were flat last night, but they did turn pucks over, and you were against a very you can't give them a pass and just say, well, it's McDavid. If he can win every game for you and there's nothing you can do. But you do have to respect the fact, like I said in the text, he's the best. And it didn't look like he wanted to lose, and Draisaitl was into it. And, I mean, those two were driving the bus. So if you're going to turn pucks over, don't do it against those guys.
Yeah, don't have your off night against them. Go ahead, Ray.
If you read or if you followed what Dave Tippett would have said post-game of the first loss, he would have been like, yeah, we didn't show enough urgency, and we turned over the puck. But because there's not a coaching change and everyone has feelings about the first 25 games under a different coach, like, it's not, well, here they are again. It was just, it was not a great night for the Oilers, and the Flames capitalized, tip or cap. It's the same thing the other way last night. Oilers had a better start. Oilers took advantage. Flames turned over the puck. And the Flames' power play has looked flat and remained flat until it didn't matter when they finally got one. Yeah. So, I mean, to say that they didn't work hard enough probably isn't right. They weren't smart enough last night.
Do you want my honest concern?
Yes.
Is whether those top guys for the Flames can rise up. Like, again, they aren't McDavid and Draisaitl, but you need them to get noticed and start being Well,
Well,
more dominant than they are.
Yeah, I don't know if I did I put it in the. I think I made a cheeky comment. I know I was going to say it and then I deleted it, but I did write down top players matching top players, and I was gonna say, well, hey, after that first period, look out because I bet Monahan's he's gonna have something to say about that. You just did you have any sense that you were going to see one of the guys from the other side come through with a similar performance? You really don't, right? You can't match that. Those are the two top players in the league. They lead the league in scoring. They have for about 2.5 years. Yeah. So it's hard to match that. But you've played with some elite guys, Rhett. Those guys measure themselves by one another. And were you going to see some individual performances? Still lose the game, but were you going to see somebody really step up and make a statement? And you don't feel like that was coming last night.
And that's my big concern moving forward. Is it who can and who will? And we haven't seen in spots like that. And last night's a tough one. You start losing and those guys are flying. But you can't make excuses for it either. You need your top guys to respond in a positive manner. Don't outplay McDavid and Draisaitl, sure. But there's nothing wrong with using them as a measuring stick. How good can I be against them? And I don't think any of us had any thought that our boys were going to be able to respond and start to control some of the game. But that's what you need.
Daryl said something post-game that was interesting, and it reminded me of his opening press conference. We talked about in this division, ... And I sort of thought, well, is this another guy thinking this is a great division? Because I don't really think it is. I think there's potentially one elite team, and that might not even be one when you measure them against the Vegas, Tampa, those types of teams around the league, and we won't find out until the third round of the playoffs. We might not at all. But he sort of, I think, last night narrowed down what he was talking about when he said, when you look around this division and look at the top forwards, we're not going to be able to compete with them on that front. We cannot win games with our best players trying to trade chances with other teams. Like last night, look at Ehlers. Look at Connor, who just scores goals like it's easy. Scheifele and Dubois down the middle, 1-2. Vancouver's having a miserable season. Besser's scoring like crazy. JT Miller's a power forward that a lot of teams would love to have. Elias Pettersson's one of the best playmakers in the league. He's hurt right now.
Horvat had a couple last night.
Horvat's a rock solid. If he's your number 2 center, you're good. Toronto's got the 4 best forward in the division, maybe in the whole league. There's not a lot of teams with 4th forward could go out and be a point-per-game player. That's William Nylander. Tavares has scored 50. Matthews is probably going to win the scoring title, and Mitch Marner can put up 100 points. Ottawa ain't there yet, but no one's really measuring themselves against Ottawa. Ottawa is just the games you can't stub your toe. Montreal is the only one that's really similar to the Flames in that there's a lot of nice players you'd like, but there's no game-breaking superstar or multiple snipers. His point last night was if we're looking to think we can outscore other superstars, we've missed the boat. We have to play as a unit defensively a way that allows us to beat those teams. And that's what they did in the first 3 games that they didn't do last night. That was not an effort that matched the other 3. And so were the Oilers stars great? Yes. Did the Flames stick to their game plan? No, they didn't.
And how much of that, because I think you said it, Rhett, it's part of both. Were the Oilers good? Yeah, I think they were pretty good last night. Were their top players good? I think that McDavid and Draisaitl showed that they were really good. And I don't know that the Flames, like you said, I don't know that they were not trying or that they were lazy, but they weren't close to the level that they were at in the previous 3 games at least.
That wasn't their game, right? That's not what
their
they
game.
Want to come out and do.
No.
Take lazy penalties, turn over the puck, allow the other team to score early.
Because you go back to that 3-2 loss before. I'm trying to think now. Because remember the one in Edmonton, the first Saturday after the coaching change. That first period was tremendous. And then you go back a couple nights and another good first period. This time, no good. So they can do it. They have done it, but for whatever reason, they didn't last night. We'll break here. Daryl had some comments afterwards. I'll get to those ones you were talking about, Ryan, as well. He talked about the goaltender. He was asked, do you ever think of pulling Jacob Markstrom? He had some very direct some context for you and some comments about that. And more coming up here on your Thursday. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
You're listening to Boomer in the Morning with Rhett Warner and Ryan Pinder. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Calgary's only all-sports radio. Sportsnet 960 The Fan.
Guests of the show join us on the hotline. It's a presentation of Atlas Pizza and Sports Bar. They are open for limited dine-in service, all safety precautions in place. Atlas Pizza and Sports Bar, the best pizza past the steaks and ribs since 1975 at 6060 Memorial Drive Northeast. Here in the iconic downtown studios, Boom, along with J-Boy, we got Ryan Pinder, we got Rhett Warner. Now, an 8 o'clock start last night. Too late for snacks, or did we settle in with something last night?
Man, did I want to drink some beer, but I'm testing out this toe, see if this is real or not. So,
Are you worried?
I'm curious, and there was the family chat got some news, and I'm now comparing notes with someone else who will not be named that might be going through something similar.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
I thought I'd be feeling bad about that, but
yeah. See,
this particular human who may or may not be related. I mean, he's waking up with shooting pain. I'm like, what? I'm not even near that.
There you go. See, it all.
I can relate to you now, Dean. I'm taking pleasure in other people's misery.
I feel terrible. Wait, you have the same thing?
Oh, amazing.
Oh, it's too bad, I guess. But man, I feel better all of a sudden. So that's good. Really? So some potential gout in the circle, in the family circle there. Now, do you think it's gout, or are you convinced that's what it is?
I'm not convinced. I keep looking, and apparently the hallmarks are shooting pain and numbness. I got none of that. So maybe it's just baby gout, and it's going to grow into gout.
It could be, yeah. Baby goat.
Or, maybe one of the kids has been hauling on my toes when I nap.
Now, how's the heat? Is there some heat in the area?
No heat at all. None.
Because I know for me, whenever I had the flare-ups, you fry eggs on that thing. Smoking hot.
And see, this is what's giving me hope, that a lot of these hallmarks are not there.
Yeah, I get a sore toe. I get a sore toe, but it's arthritis.
Oh, maybe I look forward to that instead, or no?
That's fun, too.
Got a bit of a toenail thing going right now. I don't really want to get into it, but
well, it can't be worse than Wilm's bunion. Ugh.
It's kind of like when the toenail starts getting off the main drag and into the ditch,
just going off-roading,
and then all of a sudden it keeps pulling. It's pulling to the right. It's pulling to the right. So, well, you're gonna have to straighten up here. We're gonna have to fix this. I've got my left tires are in the ditch. And I'm getting caught up in the gravel. It's heavy gravel sucking me into the ditch. It's not good. Flames last night lose by a score of 7-3. McDavid, a 3-point night, right?
Yep, and Draisaitl the same.
Tyson Barrie, 4 helpers. He is tops in league defense scoring.
Going to play? Not going to play? 4 apples. Played.
4, yeah. Give me some.
Played.
Give me some. 28 points in 32 games.
It's so weird. I don't know why it's worked there and it didn't in Toronto last year. You can talk about the markets and all that. I don't know if that really equates to, like, putting on your boots, going on the ice, and looking like 2 different players.
It's a good point. I hadn't thought about that till you just brought it up.
Well, I had him in fantasy last year. I'm like, what the hell's happened to this great young offensive defenseman that's, like, should be running one of the best power plays in the NHL? And it was just not good. And, like, he's never going to be a great defensive defenseman. And at even strength, he's going to get outchanced. That's just who he is. But the offense should make it worthwhile. That wasn't the case last year in Toronto.
Yeah, he had 39 points. He's already got 28.
Are you kidding me? And it's not like, well, now he's on a team with superstars. Like, no, they had Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Nylander.
Yeah, he's got 38 games to get another 11 points to...
I say he does it, Dean.
Yeah, good chance. Good chance. Now, you were referencing in the I was thinking that, too, this morning. So, well, you know what? At the time, I remember Oiler fans were bemoaning the fact, like, Klefbom's going to be out. Then you got to scramble. Well, do you try and get Tanev? Well, you can't get Tanev. Do you get a better goalie? Well, you don't get Markstrom. Well, I guess what's left? Tyson Barrie, I guess, and like you say, it's not going to do anything for your defensive side, but I guess if you can get some points out of him. And for Barrie, why do you go there on a 1-year deal? Well, hopefully
to get a deal,
you lead the league in defense scoring like he is right now. I don't know that it's going to be the way it ends, but he's had a great start. Talking about firepower, you referenced, now there's a couple of it here, but certainly for Daryl Sutter, talking about his team, and he's brought it up numerous times. And it's nothing I think he does is by mistake. I think it's all very calculated to let everyone know, probably included those in his locker room, that if you think we are going to outscore teams and we're going to be able to play that run-and-gun style, you're sorely mistaken. We don't have what other teams have. Here's some from the coach.
This group of players has to learn that they don't have the firepower to not put themselves in a position to be good defenders or to check or to play well in their zone. That's not going to happen. If they don't play that way, then they're going to look at the shots. In the end of the night, it ends up 33-30 or something. I don't think we're going to score 8 goals and beat Edmonton 8-7.
Probably not getting 8 on 33.
Not easy. There's a few of those nights out there, but not many.
And
Smitty wasn't net. Pinder, that was
he was dialed last night. He was good last night. I wish they would have tested him a little earlier. He's a guy that seems to get in a rhythm if he can face soft stuff early.
What did they? Yeah, that was the thing in the first period. It was the shots are even after the first. It's like this game is not even. It was all Edmonton in the first, and I don't know how they got 8-9 shots because they were all from distance and well out and easy, no screen at all in front. They were better in the second, and I'm kind of with you, Rhett. Once they went up 2-0, and it just felt like the two stars on the other side were on. But you got to the second, and they weathered the storm a little bit, and then the Backlund line had, about a 2-minute shift in their end, and the Oilers D were just gassed. And then I think it was about 2 or 3 shifts later, then the Lindholm and Tkachuk line went to work, and then, 1 shift later, it's a 3-on-3 going the other way. Draisaitl with a between-his-leg tip pass to Cahoon, and it was in their net.
Wow.
Fancy.
Bit of a turnover there first.
Fancy.
Yeah, there were some turnovers last night.
I think that was the big – to me, that was the turnover. I was like, ooh, middle of the ice.
The first one you alluded to was the Lucic, and then they had a failed clearing attempt on the penalty kill.
Valimaki,
that led to the second one. And to Daryl's point, well, it's the penalty kill. He shouldn't even been on a penalty kill there. That's a lazy penalty. And that was the Ritchie slashing the stick out of a player's hand, which is going to get called 80% of the time. You slash a defender's stick out of his hand, you're going to go sit.
Yeah.
So as the Oilers were very good. Yes, of course they were. Did you put it on a platter for them? Yeah, you kind of did.
A little bit.
And I liked their first 5 minutes in the second, Dean. They tons of pressure. It's just they catch them on an icing after it was already 2+ minutes for that one 5-man unit. Here you go.
Yeah.
But they just never ended up breaking the dam, and so the Oilers the other way, first chance in the net, game over.
How mad would you have been if you were one of those guys on the ice? When they're in their end for 2 minutes, and I think it's Archibald gets it almost to the red line and then ices it.
Yeah. Dude, you're killing me here. But you talk now, the power play for the Oilers goes 3 for 4. 4 isn't a crazy number, but like you say, they were kind of needless penalties, and the coach talked about that.
Power play's operating at over 30%. So you take a lazy penalty, you're going to put yourself in trouble. We did it back-to-back to start the third, and we did it in the first period too. They're unnecessary. A perfect player now takes 0 penalties, plays hard, and got some work to do there too.
Yeah, the Bennett cross-check was easy to call. The Ritchie slash is easy. The Giordano one, I mean, is it gratuitous? It's not, but they're calling those things. You slash the guy in the hands.
Right on the hand.
You're going to...
A few inches lower, it's nothing, but that's the way it is.
Did you like the slash to the hands? Was that one of your hallmarks, Retro?
No, top of the skates there.
Oh, right in the...
Ooh, yeah.
Right in the top.
Oasis, the old one-hander. Bertuzzi hated me when
Really, hey? Just the one hand, so it doesn't look as bad?
Well, so picture this. On the penalty kill was the best time because they wouldn't give you another penalty for it. and the guy's you're in front of the net, and your partner's got the guy in the corner, and Bert's standing out front, and you kind of leave him on your back pocket, just far enough away, and you literally just take your stick and swing it, and whack!
Right over top
of the
yeah. Excuse me, Rhett. I'd appreciate it if you would discontinue that slash.
I do remember it with Bert lots because we played them so much, and he would be like, "Warner, you stop doing that." Oh, well.
I still remember the day.
Did you ever dance with him? Yeah. I feel like that would be a quick way to end the slashes to the top of the foot.
I don't think Bert. I didn't like to fight either, but Bert, I think, liked to fight less than I did. I'm probably. It's probably lucky for me that Bert didn't like to fight.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
big beast.
He's a monster. If he wanted to, he probably could have had his way with a lot of guys, though.
Yeah.
I still remember that day he signed here. It took a while, right? It was like, I don't know how I feel about it. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna have to watch this for a few games and really wrap my head around it. And he would wow you with his skill, right? Like he was at that point in his career where the hard work, not really interested in that now. All in his own way, kind of swoopy, right? He'd swoop around, little plays with the one hand on the stick and no lookers and that.
Wow.
But he had more of that in his game, I think, than maybe he got credit for. But at that point,
he was beat up at that point.
How much
I
am I
think
making?
that was part of it, right? The old back was starting to become an issue.
Was there, who would make that top 5 list of weirdest Flames? Like, Steve Smith coming over was the first guy, I think, from the Battle of Alberta to swap that was a significant part. That was weird.
Fuhr has to be in there, right?
Fuhr for sure. Bertuzzi in there. Amonte for me did. I don't know why. It just felt like such an unattainable name. Sure, he was way past his prime, but that was like an American superstar free agent coming to a Flames team that hadn't won in 7-8 years until that 2004 season. You're like, what?
And what was weird, it almost felt like validation, right? It's like, well, if that guy's here, that
guy wants to come here.
That's
that guy
the kind of team
here.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the type of
year,
move they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, you should have won that year. What about Morrison? That took a little while.
I was going to bring that up. Talking about Bert and then mentioning Mo, you almost forget how good that line in Vancouver was.
West Coast Express, baby.
Right.
Ridiculous,
They
missed Bertuzzi in 2004 because he was suspended, right?
Yes.
Because that 2004 run, who knows how different round one looks if Bert's
they lost
there, right?
Bert and the goalie, Kluch, was out.
Yeah.
So what was it, Ald the rest of the way?
I think so.
02-03 before that run. Naslund 48 goals, Bertuzzi 46. Yeah,
good hockey, man. They could play hockey.
And that's low-scoring years, guys. That is those would have been not far from the Iginla 50-plus year.
Yes,
which was the lowest scoring year of our lives in the NHL on a goal per game basis. I think that was peak of the dead puck era. So to have two guys in the 40s, a year or two removed from that, that's nuts. That's like having two 50-plus goal scorers.
Naslund 104 points, Bertuzzi 97, and then Mo in the middle.
Man.
46 helpers, 71 points.
Quite fun playing those wingers.
Same age as Bertuzzi. I felt like Morrison was maybe a little younger. I didn't realize he was the same age. But yeah, that line was, as much as you hated to admit it, whether you're an Oiler fan listening or you're a Flames fan, you had a hard time with it. But those guys. Then you throw in Matt Cook just for good measure. Another, it's just, and Jarkko Ruutu, get him involved. Very hateable. Very hateable team. Even Kluche was a bit of a Richard,
It was high-strung, that's for sure.
He was high-strung. Yeah, it's a good thing he wasn't bigger, right?
He wasn't better.
He wasn't a big guy. If he was bigger and better, he'd be really hard to take. We'll break here. We got the Pinder report, other games from the North Division. None of the news really good for the Calgary Flames, but we'll get into that. Later on the show, George Russick, our boy, will join us in the 8. We're chasing a couple other things as well this morning. Flames last night, wrong end of a 7-3 loss to the Oilers on home ice. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Boomer in the Morning is on right now. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course, voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at graywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960 The Fan, Calgary.
You can stay in touch with the show on the hotline. Morning Show text line is brought to you by SML Entertainment, making family time more exciting with pool tables, pinball, ping pong, beachcomber, and Caldera hot tubs, and more. Visit smlentertainment.com. A 3-point night for Connor McDavid, a 3-assist night for Leon Draisaitl. He has 15 points in his last 8. McDavid, 16 in his last 7. And for good measure, Tyson Barrie, 4 helpers. He is now tops in league defense scoring. So yeah, it's all good. All good on the other side. For the Flames, you shake it off, you get on a plane, you go to Toronto, and get ready for 2-2 against the Leafs Friday and Saturday. Right now, what else is going on? And more with the Pinder Report.
The Pinder Report, brought to you by Motorworks. Bring in your BMW for the best repairs and service in the city and the best price. They'll beat any competitor on 51st Ave and 3rd Street Southeast.
Ryan Pinder.
Well, we had round 6 of the Battle of Alberta. It wasn't pretty, but there was a team that had a worse night in the NHL than the Calgary Flames. Another weapon for Kyler Murray, and the Raptors got 2 key cogs back from the COVID list. Also a tough scene from Dunedin, something you never want to see, and something you love seeing back at the Dome tonight. Let's start with the Calgary Flames.
Oh, okay, good night, guys.
Barry in, no Kara, Neil scratched, same 2 goalies. Here we go in round 6 of the Battle of Alberta, period number 1.
McDavid shoots through some traffic. That shot blockered away by Markstrom. Now Nugent Hopkins scores.
Oh, F-bomb in there. Lucic turnover, then a Ritchie penalty follows for slashing Chris Russell's stick out of his hand. And
McDavid keeps it in, walks into the high slot, and slips it near circle. Draisaitl drops, Barrie a shot, and they score. Tyson Barrie took the shot. The Oilers score a power play goal and take a 2-0 lead.
2 goals in the opening 7.5 minutes, both directly off Calgary turnovers, and it was 2-0 after 20. To the second, we go solid pressure from the Flames early. They hem the Oilers in for over 2 minutes, then get an icing, keep the tired group out there, but they couldn't capitalize. First chance at the other end.
Backlund gives it away. Now Barry's got the puck. Barrie to Draisaitl to Cahoon, who scores.
Pretty dish from Dry. It comes on the heels of all that pressure, but yeah, no Flames goal, and there's the response. Flames, though, would score right away after that.
Dubé moves it down low, Kachuk centers. Lindholm scores! After falling behind 3-0, Elias Lindholm one-times the puck past Mike Smith, and it's 3-1.
3-1. Didn't feel very much in reach at that point. There was a late Cassian penalty that sent the Flames to the power play at the end of the frame. They didn't score there. They didn't look good there. And off to the third period, we went where the Flames are 1-10-1 when trailing after 40. Well, let's go ahead and make that a very pleasing on the eyes. 1-11-1. One's across the board.
Shoots and scores. Shot by Nugent Hopkins. They score. Alex Chasonders shoots and scores. Cassian gets by Shillington, steps in, goes to the backhand, and scores.
Whew. Well, that's not in doubt anymore, is it, gents? Backlund and Gaudreau would get garbage time goals late, but the game was long since over. Here's Coach Sutter.
Did you consider pulling Jacob Markstrom at all?
Not for 1 second, minute, anything. I'm on record for this. Every team I've ever coached, I do not pull the goalie. I hate pulling the goalie. It's like benching somebody. I don't believe that. I believe that they stick with their teammates, and I believe that they fight their way out of it just like everybody else. And it's basically a trust thing because I think he's an awesome goalie, but he has to be able to battle too. And I've never done it, and it's worked very well. I've had great goalies, and this is a pretty good one too.
Put a pin in that. I know you want to touch that later, Dino. That's why you left your number 1 goalie, who's been overworked incredibly this year, in for a game that was long since over, I suppose. Don't know that I can really quibble. He's done well with the Jonathan Quicks and Mika Kiprasovs of the world. You'd like to find a way to get some rest from Markstrom, and it seems like they have a chance to do that this weekend as they've got the Leafs on Friday and Saturday night. And that number one goalie that the Flames went and got in free agency sure looks better when you don't use him 80% of the time or more. So we'll see what happens rest-wise, whether they go to Riddick on Friday or maybe if Darryl says, screw that, you're making big money, play both. I don't care about rest. We shall see. Special teams a big factor in this one. Oilers went 3 for 4 on the man advantage. The Flames did go 1 for 3, but when the game was actually being contested, they didn't have any. The late Gaudreau power play marker, the only one that came on the man advantage. Flames now 3 back of the Habs. Montreal holds a game in hand. That's a tough loss on the playoff probabilities. Flames were over 50% heading into yesterday's game to make the postseason, dropped to 37% today. Okay. So you drop 2 to a team you're chasing and the most likely team to be caught by the probability model. Tough loss, but 3 of 4 under Sutter still.
It's a big swing.
That is a big swing.
It's rough. Sounds like my stocks. Sounds like the stock market, yeah. Hey, things are looking good. Oh, wait, what? Down 20%? Really? That's stunner.
So
sounds
about right. Just disappeared, eh? You're not investing in that NBA Top Shot, I see.
No, probably should be.
You'd be up 1,000,000,000%.
Yeah,
there.
it would be, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I'm just going to wait for a little while, until it cools off, and then I'll get in.
He's going to wait for the dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time that market. Easy to do.
Yeah.
Let's find some other games to talk about, shall we?
Buy low, sell lower. That's what I always say.
Interesting. Better than buying high and selling low, I guess. Vancouver, Ottawa, 2-0 early for the Canucks, but as they apparently do in Ottawa, they still needed overtime.
Gaudette from the left circle to the goal. He scores! Beat Gustafsson between the legs, and for a second straight game, the Canucks find a way to beat the Senators. This time in the shootout as Gaudette gets the winner. Vancouver takes it 3-2.
So hang on, Jay. What did Gaudette do to the goalie? Ooh.
Beat Gustafsson between the legs. And
more bad news for Ottawa in the crease. Joey Decord leaves with a leg injury. He had to be helped off the ice. This does not look short-term. I mean, clearly we're doctors from watching the NHL Live app in our basements, tens of thousands of kilometers away potentially. But, when you're needing essentially to be carried on one side to get off the ice, that's a no bueno. They're already missing Matt Murray. Not sure if that's bad or not. We'll have an update later. And whoever else was trying to stop pucks. Marcus Hoberg, yuck. So there we were in the fourth-string netminder in Ottawa last night. Still got a point for overtime, though. Bad night for the Flames we talked about. How about the Philadelphia Flyers? Unfortunate news for them. Mika Zibanejad is back.
Rangers looking for more. Kreider to Zibanejad! The hat trick! Mika Zibanejad, it's 8-0 Rangers.
8-0 Rangers? That wasn't even it. They finished 9-0. 6-point period for the formerly struggling Swede. Just the second ever 6-point period in NHL history. Boom, you'd noted Trottier had done it. He had just 3 goals and 11 points through 27 games this season, and Zibanejad had been one of the more baffling players in a downturn. Couldn't seem to, nothing was, there you are. Okay, 6 points in a period, you're back on track, son. Montreal, Winnipeg, Jets led 2-0 and 3-1 in this game. But
Josh Anderson trying to get it behind the net and looking to steal it. There's Toffoli. DeMello is on it for Winnipeg with a minute and a half left. Here's Perry out front. They score! And it's Tyler Toffoli getting open and tying this game at 3.
Off to overtime we go.
Winnipeg starts back on a 2-on-1. Nikolai Ehlers across the line. Ehlers moving in, shooting. He scores! Nikolai Ehlers ends it in overtime.
Randy Moeller's son with the call there. Sharks and Golden Knights. San Jose led 3-1 after 40 minutes. Wow, that'd be an impressive.
The Knights have scored. Power play goal. Cody Glass. Now Hank scores. Tie game. To the middle. One-timer tipped. Score! Vegas takes the lead.
Well, nothing like being down 2 with 20 to play and winning 5-4. Holy.
Way to
5-3 at one point.
Way to tuck it in there, boys. Good job, San Jose.
Well, Devin Dubnyk had been good for 2 or 3, so it felt like one of those was overdue. Blues and Kings from L.A.
Walker
Kings pounced early.
Down low. Walker into the right wing corner. Walker centers. Tipped. Score! Might have been deflected in front by Trevor Moore.
Walker down low. Walker with the puck. Walker, Texas Ranger. 3-0 at that point. They win 4-1. Tonight, gentlemen, we have the Penguins, who just had that winning streak snapped against New Jersey.
You painted your face?
Boston Bruins, Buffalo Sabres. Oh, dear.
Skinner!
This is not who you want to see if you're Buffalo. Although, who do you want to see right now? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, you're looking up.
It matters.
Yeah.
Chicago, Tampa.
One word. Look out.
Predators and Panthers get going.
They're not my cats. I didn't name them. But the names are Chubbs and Smokey.
2 cats. It's Chubbs and Smokey. Which one's the Predator? Which one's the Panther? Columbus and Carolina. We'll go ahead.
I got things to do. Ask me a hockey question.
Oh, sorry. Philly and the Islanders. Yeah, that 9 loss last night for the Flyers. At least you have to turn around and play the next day against the tightest defensive outfit in the East that just had their 12-game point streak snapped. Yikes. Dallas-Detroit tonight.
We're not going home!
Yeah, enjoy Motown, Anton. Winnipeg-Edmonton.
I think I know a little bit about winning.
A lot about winning, guys. Minnesota and Colorado.
We're very high.
And Arizona, Anaheim.
Quack! 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 Quack!
There is a game at the Scotiabank Saddledome tonight, Dean. Do you know what that is?
It's a little bit dangerous.
Stockton!
Really?
Stockton Heat of Calgary. We're claiming them. Host the Laval Rocket for the first of 4 straight. Get ready for some Rocket Heat action. I feel like there's an engineering NASA joke in there somewhere. Maybe we'll see Louis Domingue and even Mark Stone's brother tonight for the Heat. They've been moved from the Flames taxi squad to the AHL team. And is that to get some ice time? Is that to get some bonus money for Artem Zagadulin?
Brother?
It's Petrovic because they've played. I don't know. But they're an option tonight. Heat lead the North Division with a mark of 8-3. They've had a nice little rest since a Saturday loss that snapped an 8-game winning streak. So they've been sitting, ready to rock, and they'll be there for a packed 19,289 at the Dome tonight. Minus 19,289,
yeah.
Major League Baseball. No! Oh, dear. Not good. Jays fall 1-0 to the Yankees in Dunedin. That really doesn't matter. It's great for league play. What does matter is starting pitcher Thomas Hatch, who was making a strong case to be added to this team's rotation, which could use some people that win jobs in a rotation. Left the game with an injury to his throwing arm. Not good. Threw a fastball, turned, screamed, and then signaled to the dugout for help. Throwing arm, forearm tightness, that's not what the doctor ordered.
That's one of the more gross sports injuries, right? Obviously, there's basketball, legs and ankles, that sort of thing. But when a pitcher throws and you might hear a pop or you just hear him scream in pain. Ew.
It's kind of like, to me, the non-contact football injury. Those ones are always, ooh.
Yeah. You see the ripple.
250-pound running tackling machines, and no one's even near him, and down he goes like a sack of hammers. Oh, dear.
Calf muscle just snaps. You see it just...
Hamstring shot into orbit.
That's your Achilles right there. That's what that is.
If you need the update, the only run in the game, they lost 1-0. The Jays did to the Yankees. A fielder's choice as a run came in from third.
Well, they made the wrong choice.
They're off today. Well, they probably wouldn't
Come
have
on,
got
fielder.
it at home, or you wouldn't have made that choice.
Bad choice.
Back at it again tomorrow against the Tigers. NFL free agency continues. Madden, wide receiver, but also a guy they use out of the backfield a bunch. Curtis Samuel has been signed by the Washingtons, 3-year, $34.5 million deal that reunites him with Scary Terry McLaurin, his old college teammate, Dean. 8-time Pro Bowler Patrick Peterson's gone to the Vikings, a 1-year, $10 million deal. You know that there's a good and a bad part about being an 8-time Pro Bowler. You know the good part. You're really good. At least you were. The bad part being if you've made it to the Pro Bowl 8 times, you're not young anymore, are you? So we'll see how that works at the Vikings. Coming off a ho-hum year. For his standards, was not a Pro Bowler.
Ho-hum.
The oft-injured wide receiver A.J. Green heading to the desert to play with DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. It's being reported at $8.5 million for a year. That's a nice little weapon for the Cardinals offense, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like are they just picking up spare parts? J.J. Watt, are you old and are your best days behind you? Come on down.
I suppose. I would look. AJ Green has to be healthy to do anything for any team. That's for sure. But I bet she's a lot younger than you think. And if everyone's double teaming DeAndre Hopkins, you couldn't add a more skilled player than AJ Green if he's healthy. But yeah, it's all going to come down to, can you stay on the field? Can you? If you can, that's a great deal.
I'd rather have Seth Green.
Really?
Yeah.
Tom Green?
That's right.
Humping dead moose on the sideline, keeping the guys loose.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Giants and Bengals apparently circling around Kenny Golladay. He's the top free agent still available.
Haven't been here for the Stampede, eh? Well, that's what Calgary's all about, the Stampede. You got to come back for the Stampede. Got to come back for the Stampede.
Yeah.
He'll be great in the desert.
Wonder how he'll get along with the guys. He's a little bit off.
A little different. Yeah.
Seemed undersized. Maybe he could be the punter, huh? Raptors back in action last night. And luckily, starting to get some bodies back. Maybe not luckily. They are on a 5-game losing skid heading into last night's game. They'd missed Van Vliet, Siakam, Anunoby, and others for all 5 of those losses as COVID has been dancing around their locker room. The coaching staff was off for a bit. But they still fall last night, even with Siakam and Van Vliet back 116-112 to the lowly Pistons. That's 6 losses in a row. Norm Powell did have the big night, 43 points in the loss. Toronto 2.5 back in the final playoff spot in the East. They will host the Jazz from Tampa on Friday. You know what Utah's known for? Not Jazz, but the team name is...
They're called the Jazz, Ryan.
Yeah. And,
Love Jazz.
You know what LA's not known for? Lakes. Anyway, we'll move along. PJ Tucker set to be moved from the Rockets to the Bucks. That trade's going to happen, apparently. And interesting news surrounding COVID protocols in the NBA with the vaccine spreading, the vaccine rollout going well in the U.S. Vaccinated players will now have eased health and safety restrictions. If you are a player in the NBA or team personnel, you can now leave the hotel anytime on the road. You can attend in-person marketing events, and you won't even have to wear masks at practice facilities. Rules would also apply for any team once 85% of players and coaching staff have been vaccinated. So, little carrot for the gents to get the needle. Sportsnet 1 doubleheader tonight. Jazz Wizards at 5. Is Washington known for Wizards? Kind of sleazeball politicians, if you ask me. And the Hornets and Lakers, not to be confused with the Bobcats and Clippers at 8:30. PGA. They're in action today. Honda Classic. Staying in Florida. Sunjae Im, your favorite. The Cash Machine, the young Korean. And 6 Canadians in the field with 2 of our best not even there. Hadwin, Hughes, Gligic, Taylor, Hearn, and Sloan. They are underway already from PGA National. And one final note for you. I don't do this a lot. In the sense of talking about it, but I did not have the luck of the Irish with me last night, Dean.
Really?
The Flames Oilers under 5.5. No. Well, the Jets, they're not going to lose back-to-back games to the Habs. And, geez, boy, that's a nice premium for a regulation.
Who's Rob Kerr?
Our
Calgary Flames play-by-play man.
Oh, the redheaded guy with the glasses.
No.
No. The Habs tied it with an empty net behind them, so that regulation win, that didn't. I had the Sharks win. They're up 3-1 after 40. That paid very nice premium.
Yeah.
Should have cashed that one out early. Well, at least the Raptors are playing the worst team in the East. That'll be a win.
No. Oh, dear. That's a rough.
Spectacular 0 for 4 right there, Jensen. Always remember the first rule of sports betting. Don't do it.
That's not the first rule.
Yeah, don't do it. That's the first rule.
No, it's not.
Don't ever do it.
Ryan, the first
Until
rule.
Our title sponsor at the Boomer in the Morning is Jimmy's Bet House 994. The first rule is don't do it, Dean. It's going to rip your heart out.
The first rule is get it back. Chase.
Yes.
Chase it.
Or is the first rule play the over?
It's just get it back. Now just get it back.
Chase, baby.
Chase
You're
it.
due.
Yes,
I'm due.
You are due. You're not going to go 0 for 4 again. There's no way.
No way.
No
You're
way.
too
So
good.
what
Look at
am
all
I
those
doing
games.
tonight?
Look at all those
Am I unloading
games
the holster
tonight.
on the Islanders?
You're
Just
not some
empty
schlep
the.
that doesn't know sports.
Hey,
Come on.
Am I
Ryan.
going to empty the register on the Islanders tonight? What are we doing here?
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
What do teams do right after they've fired their coach?
Don't convince me to bet on the Sabres. I tried it 2 nights
They win
ago.
the next game. They always win the next game.
That's it. It's the Pinder Report. We're done.
The Pinder Report, brought to you by Motorworks. Bring in your BMW for the best repairs and service in the city and the best price. They'll beat any competitor on 51st Ave and 3rd Street Southeast.
I'm back, baby!
Low-scoring Bruins in Buffalo against the high-flying Sabres.
Don't tempt me.
Unshackled from Ralph Kruger.
Plus 300.
Sportsnet 960, the fan.
On the air, online, on the Sportsnet app, and always on your smart speaker. Boomer in the Morning continues. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960, the fan.
Here in the iconic downtown studios, powered by Iconic Electric and Controls. It's Boomer along with Jay. We got Winder and Porner here on a Thursday.
Wow.
7-3.
What are you drinking down there?
Oh, I would love one.
Got a whiskey in the Iconic studio?
I didn't. You know what? St. Patty's didn't even have not a sniff yesterday.
What?
Not a sniff. Not a sip. Not a drop.
Would you like to guess what happened to Rhett and I? If you had to put wagers down on whether we had a drink or not?
Well, I'm not sure if it's paying what the Buffalo Sabres are paying, but yeah, I would guess that you probably did have at least one or two.
It would probably be paying what the Bruins are paying.
Yeah. Did you get out at all? Did you enjoy the sun?
11 a.m. patio outside,
there
waiting
you
for
have
the sun to get around the corner of that building there. A couple pints of Guinness, and then off to have a workout at the gym. You know how you do, right?
Oh, that's good, yeah.
You're an awkward human.
Well, I wasn't the way the day was supposed to be planned, but I had to pivot, and I saw a photo of some acquaintance on a patio with a Guinness, and I thought, yeah, that's going to have 2 of those, have a lunch, and then get on with my day.
That's not how I do my business.
I know.
You work out before the Guineas.
Yes.
Right?
Dehydrate as much as possible.
That's
and
right.
then
So it's one of your favorite days of the year, Rhett, in your younger days and before pre-COVID and before life sucked. You loved going out on the 17th and having a time.
I can't argue with that, Dean. It was always circled on the calendar. It was nice when you had the day off.
Can you remember a certain city on a certain St. Patrick's Day that would take the crown over others, or no?
Well, we had a great day in Buffalo the one day because it was gorgeous out.
Really?
I'm trying to... Canadian plus 18, 19.
Could be hit and miss March 17 in Buffalo, right?
Had a bad day in Chicago. Great day, bad day.
Great
day, bad day, because before I hit the pubs, I'd already broken my foot.
I was wondering yesterday, because you were talking about we were going to get you to tell some St. Patty's stories, and you bristled at the idea. But I was thinking afterwards, I'm like, didn't you break your foot stepping off a curb on if that was a St. Patty's Day drunken injury or not? But it was.
Not drunken yet, though, and Robin Regier will confirm that.
So
we just got money out of the bank. He's got a cab. He's sitting in the cab. He's yelling, "Hurry up!" I'm running to the cab. I hop off the curb and I'm like, "Oh, that hurt!" And I'm like, I didn't think much of it at the time, other than it twisted it or something.
Yeah.
Get in the cab and we head to the pub, have a drink, and I'm like, I have to go home. My foot is killing me.
No.
Mostly I was going home because I was going to go talk to the trainer because I'm like, I'm not going to get blamed for being all
gassed up
and snapping my ankle. So I went home. They're like, yeah, you're in a mess. So
you had
I had it confirmed, and then I went back to the bar.
So you got you let everyone know that you were not drunk when you got injured, and then you went and got drunk.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't play. So.
That's like isn't that like going in for curfew, answering the phone? It's like, yeah, no, I'm in the room, and then just heading out? That's the same thing,
I miss
right?
curfew for sure.
Yeah.
That is you should be making a career of that kind of savvy advice. How many players out there could have fallen prey to a different plan in that scenario.
Now,
That's well done. General anesthetic. After that, away you go.
Was it one of the phalanges or one of the metatarsals?
Oh, I don't even know. It was a mess.
Yeah.
I think it was a metatarsal.
Yeah, the longer bones. Because your phalanges those are your toes, of course.
It probably ended me too, really. Like I don't know that I would have, but something had happened where if I hadn't have broke my foot, I was probably going to have to go into the game after not playing. It was probably going to be my last kick at the can. Or is it cat? You guys got me all confused.
I think it's both, but I don't want you getting canceled, so just say can. I think that the can community is more quiet than the cat community.
Yeah, so anyway, I didn't get to play, and that was probably the end of it.
Boy, you were brittle at the end, eh? Stepping off curbs, just your body. Your body told you.
That's probably it, pals.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about this game. 7-3, the Oilers.
What do you want to say about it? What do you want to say?
Well, you said it. You just knew early. And it's kind of a helpless feeling in a way, because we've seen it a number of times already this year. When McDavid decides tonight's a night, you watch he and Draisaitl play, and you wonder, how does this team not have more success? Why do they struggle to make the playoffs? Where is the lack of success coming? Because you think, okay, well, their goaltending's just okay. All right, well, maybe defensive. You can compensate for a lot of those things when you have two of those guys. Not one, you got two. How do you not make the playoffs or not have more success? It's not like McDavid's been in the league a year or two. He's been around a long time because they just control a hockey game. And I am continually amazed at how big and strong. Now, can anybody find the data? Because I don't believe it when I look at this at the size that the NHL is telling me that they say Leon Draisaitl is 6'2", 208. That's the biggest 6'2" human on the ice I think that I've ever seen. So I mean, huge ass, so strong, and just fights guys off. His ability to protect the puck is so tremendous. He looks to me like he should be about 6'4", 230.
It does feel like those dimensions are more accurate.
So what do you tell Jason? Monahan's listed as being bigger.
Sean Monahan is 6'3", 205.
And Draisaitl's 6'2", 208. Oh, similar. You know.
I wouldn't.
Jay, why did you do that?
I wouldn't go too far down that road of comparing those two. It's not going to go well.
Oh my God!
Ruined it. Ruined my day.
I confirm your take, though.
Yeah, you did. But no, you watch those two and how they can, and God forbid you take penalties, because 3 for 4. Now they're not going to be a 75 or 80% power play, but man, at 30+%, whatever they're clipping at right now.
I'll tell you what they're clipping at. Stand by.
It's they're impressive, Retro, and you called it early. McDavid is just on such another level. It's great to watch. It just sucks when you're trying to shut it down.
Yeah, not against your team. Man, it's no good. And I was watching last night, and I was like, I remember before the first game, like, you got to back check, and I'm like, I don't know if back checking's enough here. Watching him come at these D with just flying, and I'm like, well, you can back check all you want. You're not catching him.
The power play rolling at 28%. Sorry to interrupt for the Oilers.
Oh, sorry.
Fifth
I said
in the league.
30. I didn't. Yeah,
no, just clarifying.
No, that's good. Yeah,
there's only one over 30. It's Carolina.
Guy texting in, did you see him just wipe his nose with Tanev? That's not easy to do. Yeah, Tanev got put on his wallet a couple times, just shrugged right off. So you've got a nice combo there. You've got elite skill from both, but one is willing to go get the puck, and the other guy will take it or give it or whatever you need him to do. And they were very good last night, and you texted the group early, Rhett, and said, it does not look like McDavid's interested in losing tonight. And it's difficult because on one hand, if you feel like you're letting a team off the hook by just saying, McDavid's pretty good. You're going to lose some nights when they're at that level. But at the same time, the Flames weren't where they should have been or needed to be or have been. So I don't know.
They put it on a platter for him a little bit, didn't they?
Yep.
With the penalties and the
turnovers.
And the, turnovers. I mean, it's certainly.
You want the scary stat on the Oilers when they were praising McDavid and Draisaitl and all those guys and how easy it is for them? Under 500 against everyone not named Ottawa. Isn't that crazy?
See, I
wild.
am having a harder time than ever. Because I threw that number out last week, I think, when we were talking about them. You think, well, this is a team that survives only on the power play. And then you look at their 5-on-5 scoring. It's like, well, they're second in the league in scoring 5-on-5, so they're getting it done there as well. Yeah, they're giving up some. But I think what it is, as hard as it might be for some, is that maybe this is finally a better Oilers team. It's been a team that's been pockmarked with inconsistencies and holes in its game, but they're getting offense from the blue line. It's clearly still it's their soft spot. It's their weak spot. But is this not the best you've seen of an Oiler team? Now what have they played? 32 games.
Last year they were on a pretty good clip before the pause. But again, they're 7-0 against Ottawa.
I wished I'd have watched their games against Toronto when Toronto went in there and cleaned them up.
3 in a row, yeah, right?
Yeah, they outscored them 13-1, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, right. Like I'd like to know, because can you have success against them by? Toronto's obviously got elite forwards as well. So are they controlling the puck so much that the Oilers don't get to touch it, or what's the system that Toronto played that held them to one goal? Because that seems like a tall task. And I don't know that I look at. Wow. Yeah, I don't look at Toronto's team and go, oh, yeah, that's the team to do that.
Jacob Markstrom, obviously, he's had a few of these already this year where, and he wasn't at his best either last night. And we heard from Daryl Sutter, we can play it again. He was not pulling Markstrom. This was not because of
not pulling anyone, apparently.
Yeah, so this is Markstrom post-game.
No, if I knew that, I would have changed it during the game. It was night by me, and feel bad. I feel terrible. Obviously, they scored on every chance they got, pretty much, and half chance. And it's my job to keep the puck out of the net, and I didn't do that. So it's embarrassing and frustrating for sure.
For whatever it's worth, I do love his compete. You see it on the ice. You can see it. He wears it, doesn't he? Even though he's in behind the mask, you can see how much it bugs him. And on a team that's been criticized over the years as to do you hate losing enough, I don't worry about that guy.
Both are goalies.
Yeah. One guy certainly shows it, yeah, but I don't doubt Markstrom for sure.
And I don't know what you do here. Like, you wish you didn't have the start you had. The first 25 games put you in a spot you're going to have to use them more than you want to. Be really nice to have the workload that you probably put out on a piece of paper this offseason in terms of the split, but it's not going to be real easy to carve out starts for Riddick and non-back-to-backs, and that hurts two goalies. It's tougher for Riddick to perform, and it's harder on Markstrom because the workload's at a spot where you don't want it to be, and you would have planned an offseason around it not being. How's this guy going to be at his best in May if he has to play 4 out of 5 games the rest of the way? That's the question.
Big Save needs to come in and show that he
play
can.
Well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he did in Toronto last time through, right? He played very well, and then not so well once the Leaf thing was over. But he has played well. You have to play him one of the two, right? Friday, Saturday. You got to play him Friday night.
Is that a situation looking back on that where you had a guy that came in, played well, but because Markstrom was out, you couldn't take him out? Like, I was saying, oh no, he's got to play. He shouldn't be tired. But perhaps a guy that hasn't played in a year. Maybe it was too much. I don't know.
Well, and they had that afternoon game Saturday in Ottawa, so I think it was like his third or fourth game in
it was a
4.5 days. It was like, if you have 2 NHL goalies, you don't start one in all of those. It's just that Artem Zagadulin was their other option.
Well, he got in.
Zag dog. Woof. So, yeah, it's Friday, Saturday in Toronto, then Monday, Wednesday in Ottawa. So do you see Markstrom 3 out of 4? Probably. And what's interesting is the Ottawa Senators, they don't play again until Monday.
Just like Toronto hasn't played since Sunday.
Yeah.
you're going to have well-rested teams, your next two opponents.
So the Flames will fly to Toronto, play 2 games in 2 nights, and then go to Ottawa. Not a big deal, but still, the Sens will have been sitting and waiting. And you look around, and I guess the post-mortem will be what it will be when it's done. Do they make the playoffs? Do they not make the playoffs? But you look around, and we know what the Oilers have done against the Senators. And last night, Vancouver beats Ottawa in a shootout. That's their 5th win in 5 tries against the Senators. Yeah.
If they miss by 2 or 3 points this season, it's going to feel like that season series with the Sens cost you. Because those efforts and those games were some of the worst we've seen.
Mm-hmm. God, the chances they gave
All
up.
you had to do was work. That's it.
Almost comedic to be on the power play and give up odd man rushes and breakaways to the extent
To the worst
they
team
were.
in the division. Yeah.
We'll break here. It's 7:21, out-of-town scoreboard, other things going on when we come back. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Boomer in the Morning with Ryan Pinder and Rhett Warner. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960, The Fan, Calgary.
Be able to catch the new round of Flames Roundup highlights online. Presented by ATB Financial, hosted by Pat Steinberg. Twitter, Facebook, and our website, sportsnet.ca/960. Brought to you by ATB. Brightside by ATB Financial, a new banking app to help you spend and save for what you love. There's Ryan Pinder. He's Rhett Warner here in the iconic downtown studios, powered by Iconic Electric and Controls. It's Boomer and Jay. The hits keep on coming. As word out of Buffalo this morning, the Sabres have canceled their morning skate because a member of the hockey staff has entered the league's COVID protocol. So they, of course, have already dealt with a COVID situation that maybe it's coincidence, but in many ways kind of submarine their season. They were going along okay, then didn't want to play a game against New Jersey because the Devils had some COVID issues. And the league said, no, we're going to need you to play this game. So against better judgment, they did, and then had some COVID issues of their own, and then missed a couple of weeks, if memory serves. So this could be their second go-around with it, having just fired their coach yesterday and having just lost their 12th straight hockey game the day before that. It's quite a year. Although remember in Bull Durham when things were going bad, they needed a rain out. So Crash went and turned on the sprinklers and flooded out the ballpark. Maybe this is what they need. Is did we got a little bit of a COVID situation, so no morning skate. Maybe we don't play today. Yeah, that'd be just fine. Not sure how hungry the Sabres are to get on the ice. As much as you want to pick them to win tonight against the Bruins, Ryan.
No, just threw the whole holster on Boston right there, -1.5.
Emptied the clip?
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Can't
Good
go
chasing.
over 5, right?
Good chasing.
Look, that's before the line moves, get in there.
Smart money.
Man, I know that there's been, over time, over the years, there have been awful dead man walking marches and that, but this feels up there, doesn't it?
I think what is unique about this one that makes it so just absolutely disheartening and soul crushing if you're a Sabres fan is this has come on the heels of a decade of rebuilding. There was no return to glory before they had to tear it down again. Like when the Penguins were absolutely awful and they win a lottery and they get, Crosby and Malkin, they're good for a long time and they win cups and they'll be bad again another time. And they were bad before they got Lemieux and then they won a championship and then, they were great and then they got bad again. It's just been bad for a long time, like a really long time. And it's weird to use the word rebuild because it feels like that's what they should be coming out of.
They haven't made the playoffs in a decade. They're at a .286 win percentage. In a shortened season with all the they've had COVID shut them down. Shortened season. They've lost 12 in a row. And you don't know. Your superstar Eichel is hurt and seems to want out of there. You signed a free agent who was maybe the highest. Maybe Peter Angelo was a more sought after, but certainly Hall was right up there. You sign him, and you don't know who the number one pick is. Like, you can't even sell your fans on, well, we're going to have a chance to get, who is it? Who's the consensus number one draft pick this year that you're, right? Like, it's not like
it's not a generational guy, right?
Yeah,
you're not salivating.
Not yeah, it's like, okay, well, screw it. We'll get McDavid, and 3 years from now, we're going to be really good. That's not the scenario.
Well, that's what they said about Eichel. It's like, don't worry. Like, that was one of the worst seasons we've seen. I mean, there was Detroit a couple of years ago. There was Ottawa last year. But Buffalo, the year McDavid and Eichel were on the board, we don't talk about it much, but that was a tank job. And that was supposed to be the way you got out of it. If you could get yourself McDavid and worst-case scenario Eichel, there's your talent to build around for the next 20 years.
It was more McDavid. They weren't tanking for Eichel.
Correct, but if you were last, you would have one of those two guys at least, right? And it's not crazy to suggest you could build around Eichel for his career, right?
I guess so, but that was the generation.
McDavid, yes.
That was the generational guy. That was who. I mean, I don't think they were alone, but he was. You knew that this was probably odds on the next superstar in the league. And it did not happen. Now, what would things look like? Hypothetically speaking, they get the first overall pick. Nothing else really changes. How different are things in Buffalo?
I don't know that they are. It's not like the Oilers have been planning parades, right? Like, it's a little better, not much. They're still not getting saves. They're still not drafting and developing well.
Guys, I'll tell you what. I know we make jokes about when I do it all the time. But I did it. I've done it a couple times. They have drafted horrendously because they have had a lot of picks and a lot of high draft picks, and it's a lot of just slop that has come up to the podium. And you look now, and Dylan Cousins is already playing. He's just a kid. We don't know about Rasmus Dahlin yet, but you go back. Casey Middlestat is. He
was the best player outside the NHL for a while. It was crazy.
To be determined, but really no one else from the 17. They had 2 seconds, and both of those guys are very much projects. Alex Nylander, 8th overall in 2016. That's not a good pick. They then had Rasmus Asplund, a center out of Sweden. He's played 34 games, but clearly not that's now 5 years removed. So your second, your third, you had 2 third-rounders. None of them have played. The year you took Eichel, you took Gooley in the second round. Just okay. I mean, like squint to say it was just okay. You took Reinhart in 14, good pick. You then took Brendan Lemieux the second.
Who went after Reinhart?
I understand. I know.
If you want to do the McDavid Eichel thing, it's the bigger one. Like, McDavid wasn't on the board for them. Draisaitl was. And I'm not here to tell you that I was saying draft Draisaitl. I wasn't, but I mean, that's the one where the guy after the guy they picked is way better. And I like Reinhart. There's a lot of nice parts there. Like, if someone can pry him out of there, I think that'll be a nice find. But Rhett's literally talking about, is Draisaitl better than McDavid? That's how good he is.
Well, we'll see, eh?
We'll see.
We'll see.
So Reinhart at 2. Then they had 3 second-round picks. Brendan Lemieux was one of them. He was dished off in the Myers trade, correct?
Yeah, the Kane deal.
They took Eric Cornell, Vaclav, like 2 more guys in the second round. They didn't play. It's a disaster at the draft.
It is.
You want to know the one no one talks about that just is soul-crushing for Sabres as well? 2 years ago, when the St. Louis Blues win the Stanley Cup, they're sitting last in January. Buffalo owns that pick for Ryan O'Reilly. And so they're thinking, we're bad. The Sabres are bad. We're going to have 2 picks in the top 5, and we got a 3rd first-rounder. I believe they trade one for Montour. St. Louis turns into pick 31, not top 5, and they only have theirs as a high pick. It looked like they might have 3 top 10 picks at one point there. And instead, the team that's in dead last in January calls up an AHL goalie, and it turns into pick 31.
One, you can go through, we could have picked this guy or should have picked this guy. The fact that they're not turning out any NHLers is the scary thing, right? Like, 2019 draft is still close. Cousins has played. Other than their first overall picks,
guys aren't playing. Yeah,
guys aren't playing. You got to go back to the 2013 draft to find guys that even play in the NHL.
The bottom of the roster is guys in trade and free agency, right? It's not kids coming up through Rochester.
And that 2013, they had 2 firsts and 3 seconds. So you have 5 picks in the first 2 rounds. I'd hope you nail a couple. They took Ristolainen and Zadorov in the first round, JT Compher, Connor Hurley, and Justin Bailey by picks 52. So not even the end of the second round, like the bottom third. 5 picks, and you've got 1 guy left.
They got 2 defensemen under contract for next year.
It is a
2 first-rounders in 2012, Gergensons and Mikhail Grigorenko. Now, that was not a great draft when you look back at it.
That was the Jankowski year.
2011, Joel Armia in round 1.
But that's their best production is that draft. In the bad draft, right? Like,
so what is it?
Something in the water in Buffalo.
Like, truly, what is it?
I don't know, because even, like, I guess I don't know enough about Jack Quinn to question it, but they took at number 8 last year, 2020 here draft, I'm pretty sure there was a centerman right around there, and they need centerman, and they took a right winger.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, chasing position is kind of how you get in a lot of trouble, though. I think if he's the best player there, you got to take him.
But I don't know that he was supposedly the best player, right?
We'll know in 5 years, but that wasn't a pick that was criticized relative to some others in the top 10 in terms of the people I was talking to around the draft. But whatever. I mean, it could absolutely flop. It's the draft. Who bloody knows?
Well,
but like
looking
the
at their
real
history
issue here is like their cap management and like the handsy owners. Everything goes back to the owners. Everyone's going to hang all this stuff on Botterill. And it's like, okay, there's some stuff that should be hung on Botterill, but he didn't want anything to do with the deal Skinner has.
Wow,
and if you're going to ignore your sergeant in hockey operations and cave to the pressure of maybe a superstar or maybe someone you think can sell season tickets because he's from the area, or, geez, we can't let this guy get to free agency. We finally made a deal that worked out in our favor. Like, the owner's got to get out of the way here.
I've got it on fairly good authority that he didn't want to do the O'Reilly deal either. But
so here's the thing. If you're going to hire people that are experts and not do what they want to do, it does kind of look like what would happen if you let some billionaires who are good at getting natural gas out of the ground run a hockey team. They finally got out of the way with the Bills, and it's been good for them.
Don't beat up on my poor Sabres.
I'm trying to help
doesn't
the poor
need
Sabres.
any more.
The problem is you can't fire the owner, right? That's the challenge in pro sports. When you go to hands the owner, like it's Vancouver, it's the same thing. Like I pile on the GM, but he's got a tough boss to work for.
That's, they were so revered in Buffalo for coming in and spending some money, and they've done lots for the city and buy the Bills as well. And
Harborfront, all that, right?
Right? It's yeah.
So the GM didn't want to do the O'Reilly deal, and he didn't want to sign Skinner. And you look at that roster, if you could undo those two things, and at least you've got financial flexibility if you aren't better. But you'd have Eichel, O'Reilly, 1-2 down the middle.
But O'Reilly had lost his – he wasn't having fun. Wasn't that what it was? He'd
lost his mojo for sure, so something had
lost his love of the game. 20 away from 8. We'll look at that out-of-town scoreboard. I just saw something come across my Twitter feed, which is hilarious. But it'll factor in, I guess, a little bit to what we saw last night. But the out-of-town scoreboard and more on the Flames and Oilers when we come back. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Back to Boomer in the Morning. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Saw something interesting. A buddy of mine, Kevin O. He's a good Winnipeg boy. Had the made the observation. Now it's his observation isn't quite correct. I wanted to go and make sure, but I think the point is still worth bringing up. That with the goal last night, Jesse Puljujarvi now has 8 goals on the season. That is just one back of Patrick Laine, who has 9. 7 in Columbus, but so that's what it was. He had Puljujarvi now has more goals than Laine, but he did get the what do you have 2 in Winnipeg? Is that what it ended up being? How long was he there? God,
he scored 1 in overtime.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He had 2 goals.
He had the nice save and then the OT winner.
He had that one. He had the one that Markstrom should have had. The wrister coming down the right wing.
The 94-mile-an-hour wrist shot.
And then the OT.
Yeah, then Stop the puck.
That's right.
New to your team.
Now,
you could make a statement.
I love the stat, but are we thinking that Laine'd be stuck at the number he's at if you got to play with McDavid and Draisaitl every night?
Ryan, just allow the thing to be the thing. I'm not making a point. I'm not trying to suggest that Puljujarvi is better than Laine or that Laine would have.
I know that.
But it's interesting.
That's a nice find, though, for the Oilers.
For a guy that didn't want to be there, to convince him to come back, yeah.
Because you watched that goal that he scored last night. It was his stick, wasn't it, that stopped the Valimaki clear from getting out and then gets the redirect in front? He's pretty.
McDavid at the point that stopped it, but maybe he got in the way in front.
But you know what I mean? Valimaki spins just outside the crease, and I thought it was Puljujarvi who kind of dove across with his stick to get a piece of it that kept it in. Anyway, he's comfortable in front of the net.
Big ox.
Yeah. He really is a big dude, right?
Mm-hmm. Skates well.
Mm-hmm.
We might have trouble there. He might be good. I don't like it.
I liked it better when he wanted out of there, to be fair.
Yeah, back to Europe, son.
6'4", 201. Yeah, because I was going to say he was standing next to Draisaitl, and he was taller than Draisaitl was. 6'4". He's a happy kid, too. Look at him. Every pic of him, he's just smiling.
A giant baby.
When you're smiling. You want to hear? Here, let me play something for you. The Daryl Sutter was asked about, did you think about perhaps pulling your goaltender at any point during the game last night? Because it was 3-0, and then it was 4-1, then 5-1, then 6-1, then 7-1. Was there a thought of maybe getting him out of there and either giving him some rest or because of poor play or whatever? And there was an emphatic answer.
Not for one shift, second, minute, anything. I believe I'm on record for this. Every team I've ever coached, I do not pull the goalie. I hate pulling the goalie. It's like benching somebody. I don't believe that. I believe that they stick with their teammates, and I believe that they fight their way out of it just like everybody else. And it's basically a trust thing, because I think he's an awesome goalie, but he has to be able to battle too.
Has to be able to battle, and I think that was part of it, that 7 went by him, but I think, the Cassian goal, the Nurse goal, got to keep fighting. It's 4-1 and there's 5. You gotta continue to battle in there. So not that he's trying to make a point, but it is interesting to hear that. I wasn't going to take him out. Share in some of the blame, sir.
Was that talked about when Kipper was there, Rhett? Or was there just never a night where Kipper lost 5, 6, or 7?
Yeah, I don't recall a night where Kipper needed to be pulled, to be honest with you. And I don't remember it ever being talked about, no. But I don't have a philosophy on it, but I don't like throwing a goalie. Like, you want to put Riddick in when it goes to 5-1? Guy that's been sitting there? Or do you just let the guy ride it out and say, no, you're fine?
What we see more and more now is intermissions or TV timeouts being used, and then it's like not the embarrassing moment that it can be in other moments for the guy coming out, and then it also gives at least a small amount of time for the other guy to get ready. But yeah, it's probably things aren't going well if you're contemplating that anyway.
Not really going.
Stick up for your goalie. Got to stick up for your goalie as a coach, always.
Speaking of goalies, and if we wanted to do, I know how this is going to go. Brace yourself, Rhett, for the Mason McDonald backpack.
Oh, dear.
But Thatcher Demko, his 7th win in 8 starts for Vancouver, as he makes 30 saves. Vancouver beating Ottawa by a score of 3-2. They had a 2-0 lead. It went away. Then they get it done in a shootout as Gaudette gets the winner. They also claimed Jimmy Vesey yesterday.
Jimbo.
Now, how did that work with Vesey? Drafted by the Predators, didn't want to go, ended up with the Rangers, then
said
moved
he'd
around.
sign.
Yeah.
So said, you know what, changed my mind. Nashville was pissed. Off he goes to the Rangers. Then what, Buffalo?
Yeah.
Bounced around.
Short stint in Buffalo there as well.
So he will be a Canuck. But for Vancouver, it's 3 in a row. They won all 5 versus the Senators this year. And if you care about standings and points, they passed the Flames, although still trail them in terms of points percentage because of games played. They have 32 points to the Flames' 31, but have played 3 additional games.
It's weird when I look at the points. I'm like, oh, well, clearly we'll be ahead of Vancouver, and I think we will. But then if you're Montreal, then clearly we won't catch Montreal.
That's right. They've got a game in hand, right? Yeah.
Demko's been unreal since mid-Feb. He's, I think, made about 13 or 14 appearances. 3 of them have been more than 2 goals. That's it. Everything else has been a 0, a 1, or a 2. And it's kind of led to a weird spot in Vancouver where the GM's talking about extending guys and adding players, and people that are looking at the numbers are saying .960 goaltending probably isn't the time to push chips in and think you're good, because they're winning now, but it's based on a level of goaltending that no one in the league's history can keep up for a full season.
So you don't think they should be adding at the deadline?
Well, they're talking about extending Tanner Pearson, who I think got hurt last night. But, I mean, when you look at the deals they've got to sign in the coming years, it feels a lot of like giving Roussel and Beagle money and then having to let Toffoli go. It's worrying about the bottom half of your roster when you still have to pay the top half of your roster. It does not make any sense to me when you could theoretically get picks or pieces back that wouldn't take up cap space. They got to get Demko a deal this summer. Pettersson and Hughes need deals this summer. Demko might be another year, but either way, like, is that $30 million for those 3 guys? Is it 25? Is it 22? Like, don't be worried about the 3rd and 4th line when you haven't got your core parts locked in.
Demko is an RFA at the end of the season.
So that's 3 guys then.
With Arbrights.
Arguably the 3 most important players.
Yeah, he's very quickly got Arbrights. Quinn Hughes, as you mentioned, and
Pettersson.
Yeah. How long has Pettersson been out? Not a long time.
Tough year for him early, but he's still got, 11, 12 goals?
Mm-hmm.
He was hitting every post in sight for the first month of the season.
Thomas Chabot on the other side in last night's game, 3-2. So it's a close one. So you ride your horses, I guess, if you're Ottawa. Try and get that win. 34 minutes and 50 seconds of ice for Thomas Chabot. You ever play 34-50 retro?
Only if it's like quadruple overtime, and I don't think.
Even then?
I don't think.
Yeah.
Then maybe the outdoor rink with kids.
I told you I played 28 that one night against my old squad, the Panteros, after being out till God knows when.
Really, hey? Playing.
It was their first trip to Buffalo, and I was lonely. I needed my old buddies, so I went and met them out, and we had some wings and had some beer and had some wings and had some beer.
Right, and then
had some beer and some wings.
Beer and wings, yeah.
How about a beer?
Perhaps slept in the trainer's hotel room.
Rip?
No, not our trainer.
Oh, okay.
The old guy.
Tink!
Yeah.
Tink! Cats, eh?
So the Rangers find out on game day that their coaching staff of David Quinn, Jacques Martin, David Oliver, Greg Brown, all 4 of them are going to have to miss the game because of potential contact with COVID. No positive tests or anything, but they have to miss the game. So what a shambles it's going to be for the Rangers, right? As the Flyers come in, and instead it's the Rangers who score early and score often. Lemieux, Panarin, Buchnevich, Trouba, Zibanejad, and then Hedl near the end of the second. They didn't even score in the third. It was nice of them to take their foot off the gas. 9-0. The Rangers give it to the Flyers.
Ooh.
Brian Elliott started the game, allowed 5 on 13, and Carter Hart has been struggling this year. He allows 4 on 10 in the second. 9-0. 9 on 29 shots.
He was my sneaky take me to the top of the hockey pool goaltender pick. Bad pick.
So far.
Brutal.
Zibanejad, 3 goals and 3 assists in the second period alone. Only other player to do that. 6 points in a period. You would have I would just immediately you defer to Gretz, but it was actually Brian Trottier, the only other guy with 6 points in a period. And
all of a sudden, his season doesn't look so bad.
Well, he had 3 in the first 27 games, and then 3 in 20 minutes last night. Actually, 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes, 10 seconds. It took him to get 3 goals. Natural hat trick. So, yeah, pick him up, I would guess. Is that because he'd be probably available? Somebody would have been frustrated and would have dropped him by now. 3 goals?
He's been rotting on people's benches is where he's been at in the leagues I'm in. And he had, only because last year his prorated number was more than 50 for goals. He was flying last year.
Weird, right? He goes way over what you would expect a year ago and then way under this year.
And if you think, what was it, Chris Knobloch, the Harvard coach that steps in, I would bet money that's not the first 6-point period he's seen. Because he coached McDavid and Erie in the O.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. I was going to say, well, he played. Didn't he play in Cranbrook? I didn't know that there were.
He was at Kootenai to Erie. That was the move.
He was a tough son of a gun, wasn't he? Chris Knobloch.
He's a lovely fellow.
The Jets beat the Habs by a score of 4-3. Just another 2 goals for Kyle Connor. He's at 16.
All he does is score, man.
Second straight 2-goal game. Don't look now. Sorry, go ahead, buddy.
Well, when he shoots it, doesn't it just look, I wish everyone could shoot like that. It's so natural.
So natural, easy. And
would you like fries with that?
When you think back to that series, really struggled against the Flames in that play-in round. They didn't have line A, and they managed to keep Connor in check a little bit, and you felt like he's going to break through. But this is... And there's not much to him, right? He's a little rat, and I mean that in the best way.
A lot of these guys, like you said, Leon Draisaitl looks massive, and he does, but
Small
he's not, right? Like
it's not Lindros.
No.
What is Kyle Connor? Where are you, Kyle? What's
Sniper, baby?
Well, what are you tipping the old scales at here? Because as my buddy Cam Moon would say, he's got to run around the shower to get wet. 6'1", 182. Well, he's lanky, I guess.
Who would you compare him to? Am I crazy to think Peter Bondra, just a pure sniper?
Bondra was okay as a player. Yeah. I thought you meant build-wise. I'm like, no way. Bondra was way stockier than that.
Like
but
I was just going to ask.
Bondra was a bit of a burner too, right? Like he'd beat guys with speed. I don't know if that's Connor's thing. It's just when he gets the puck in his stick. If like you said, if there's a slot that's about 3 pucks high, he's probably putting it right in there.
Bondra 185.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Jets, they had a 2-0 lead, then they led 3-1, and then Gallagher and Toffoli scored in the third to send it to extra time. And another guy who can really shoot it, Nikolai Ehlers, down the left side, zing, beats Carey Price. A 3-assist night for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Are Winnipeg fans finally coming around? Are they?
They should have been there from day one.
Should have been there from day one. They have now. The Jets have lost games this year, but they are 10-0-1 after a loss. So avoiding back-to-backs and losing streaks for the Jets. It was Hellebuck with 36 saves for the Jets.
Can we start the Maurice for Jack Adams campaign, or is it already underway?
I keep
seeing lists, his name's not on it. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
No, you know what? It's going to be tough because if Florida keeps doing what they do, you're gonna whoever finishes first gets love. If it's Cooper or if Brindamore, right? Brindamore's going to get some love. Quenneville's going to get love. And if there's a sneaky up the middle, it might be like a Dean Evison or something like that, right? Because no, I don't think he's going to get the love that he deserves.
Which is
and
insane.
I think you're right, Ryan.
That,
he is
that
good.
That blue line? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they've got a lot of help though too, right?
They got a great goalie and they got an amazing forward group. But I'm telling you, you need some serious structure to be able to win games with that blue line.
Yeah, you're not going to win that fight with Quenneville having his team go the way they are, and like you said, Brindamore. There's no way.
It's usually an award that goes to the biggest surprise, and maybe we just expected Winnipeg to be like, I don't know. We're talking about them as a playoff
it's also
team.
It's tough. It is for the biggest surprise, but you do have to look at the lineups and go, well, who's working with what here?
But that's exactly the case I'm making, right?
Yeah, but I would say that Maurice has way more than a lot of, and maybe it's lack of respect for the players in
Florida,
in
for
Florida,
sure, right?
In Carolina. But I look at Winnipeg and I go, you have the Vezina Trophy winner.
The other thing is, too, and I had to check, Quenneville's only won the Jack Adams once. You wonder if voters look at him, the legacy, how long he's coached, the cups and all of that, and feel like, well, that's a guy that deserves more than one.
That Laine Dubois thing doesn't hurt his case either. 2 weeks, and then he comes back and he gets hurt right away. Dubois, like that's the distraction before that, and then the period of time where you don't have the asset back. I'm building the case here. No one's biting.
I know you are, but you're not. I'm not disagreeing with you, but it ain't going to work. And the one Jack Adams that Quenneville had didn't come from Chicago. It was in St. Louis.
Wow. And see, that's why the award's so weird in the sense that, like, it's not often the John Coopers and Quenneville, and, like, it's just not, because we expect those teams to be good. Now, Florida had to be bad last year for us to think they were going to be bad this year, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, only three.
Brind'Amour's, that's where we thought they'd be, isn't it? Carolina?
I don't respect them enough, and I don't follow them enough to even say that. I figured they'd be competitive, but I revert back to Carolina as a flukes team, and I shouldn't. I don't give them enough respect, and so you're probably right. They probably are where they should be, but
I third in their division.
Yeah.
Quenneville wins 3 cups. Makes it loses in 2 Western Conference Finals, and no Jack Adams, but he got the one in St. Louis. Vegas beat the San Jose Sharks 5-4. Mark Stone is having a month. He has 23 points already in the month of March.
Jeez.
9 games, 23 points.
Yeah, I didn't take him in my hockey pool, guys.
You could probably use him, yeah. Yeah, they trailed 3-1. Just blow the doors off. I saw a stat again the other day, and it's not just first periods, but it's the start of periods. It won't surprise you. They do have some fans in there now, but no one has more goals in the first 2 minutes of a period, I think it is, than the Vegas Golden Knights. Last night, first period, 3:45 in, 1-0.
Remember that first year? It was like before you could get to your first TV break, it was 1-0.
Yeah, if you got to the first scrape,
doing this.
If you got to the first scrape and it was still scoreless, you were thanking your lucky stars.
We were there for that first game Calgary ever played in Vegas, and it was the moms were on the trip.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a shot for 11 minutes to open the game. In front of their bleeping mothers. You did what?
Yeah. That was a sad
remember that?
That was a sad suite.
We were looking at each other like, oh boy, this is didn't see it playing out this way.
Why is the music so loud? It's so loud in here.
Everyone's yelling.
My chest is just rattling. It was so yeah, that was quite a night. Wasn't that, and Tkachuk got into it with Fleury, right?
I don't remember.
And then Fleury skated. He was going to call Riddick out to center ice. We had everything that night except 2 points.
I just remember Walker's buddy going hunting. That was it.
L.A. beat St. Louis 4-1 last night. Your buddy Drew Doughty had a goal and an assist.
See that shot? Holy.
Zing. Kopitar, 1 goal, 1 assist. Blues have lost 5 straight.
Richard report. It's been a while since Jordan Bennington's got wins.
Yeah, it's not going well.
Do you worry about that?
Well,
if you're the Blues,
you just signed him to a 6-year deal last week.
That's.
I was worried, and I got him in fantasy. So, and I see the highlights. I'm like, yeah, no, that's none of those are on him.
8:03. Our boy, George Russick from the Fan 590 in Toronto will join us when we come back. The next opponent for the Flames, God's team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
You're listening to Boomer in the Morning with Rhett Warner and Ryan Pinder. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Calgary's only all-sports radio. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Every afternoon, Pat Steinberg has the Sports Drive at 5. It's brought to you by South Trail Hyundai. Fall in love with low payments from 0%, plus no payments for 3 months. Check out South Trail Hyundai. It's the Iconic Downtown Studios, powered by Iconic Electric and Controls, proudly owned and operated right here in Western Canada since 2008. Social responsibility, it's Iconic. Contact them today at iconicec.ca. Flames last night, a rough one on home ice against the Edmonton Oilers. They lose by a score of 7-3. Markstrom in for all 7. Draisaitl had 3 assists. McDavid a goal and 2 helpers. Tyson Barrie 4 assists. So it was point night. Everybody got in on it. Flames will have to regroup and get after it because they will fly today and then take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in back-to-back games. Leafs have been off since Sunday, so they've had the entire week to bemoan that 4-3 loss to the Ottawa Senators. But still, they will be well rested and ready coming up tomorrow night. Our next guest, he's the heartbeat of Toronto. He's on the pulse.
No.
Of everything Toronto.
Niagara.
He is George Russick, our boy.
Hey.
You're a sweet boy. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm terrific, and I just need to correct you, Boom. It's Niagara. Pinder's right. I'm the heartbeat of Niagara, not of Toronto.
Oh,
yeah. If we're asking Russick what's going on in King Street, he doesn't know.
Is there? I didn't know there was a distinction. I'll Google it, I guess.
It's an hour and a half drive difference. So yeah, I'm proud from Niagara Falls because I don't know what it is, and again, I don't have to tell you guys or your listeners that maybe some of the country doesn't particularly like Toronto or what it represents. I just get that feeling.
Rubbish.
But when I used to bartend in Niagara Falls in the tourist areas, right away I knew as somebody sitting at my bar that they were from Toronto. I could tell immediately they were from Toronto. And they go, "How did you know?" "Oh, I just know." So there's just a certain air about people from Toronto. Again, I love a lot of people I work with. It's a great city. It's fantastic. Love the radio station. Love everything. But there's just something about Toronto.
Now you're not living and commuting to Toronto. You're Toronto based now, correct?
No, I commute. Well, obviously with all of this, I still live in Niagara, and I do the big commute to Toronto when we actually went into the studio.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay, fair enough. I'm sorry.
Better dancers.
Days did you work with this man?
I apologize. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll just put Why don't you guys take over? I'm clearly ruining this whole thing.
It's been like a month since we talked, so it's okay. Like it just goes by really quickly. It's all good.
I thought because Brunt said they're back in studio, and I know Tim and his friends are in studio, right?
Yeah. A lot of us aren't, and I just don't see anything in the near future where we will be back in studio, especially when we're doing stuff at night on the weekends, doing update shifts. There's no really need to go back into the studio. And then you hear today, Ontario, almost 1,600 cases of COVID-19. Just don't see any end in sight getting back to work in Toronto. The only positive for me is I'm not driving to Toronto, which is great. I obviously miss being in studio, miss having the interactions with the people I work with, but I don't think it's close.
So what time are you getting up to make that drive when you're doing mornings?
Oh, when I was doing the morning show, we'd be on the air at 5:30, and because there's no traffic, it's crazy. I'd get up at 2:30 to get to work for 5:30.
Oh my God.
And because there's literally nobody on the roads from Niagara Falls to downtown Toronto, it took 65 minutes, which is insane. And sometimes that drive takes you 3 hours to get there.
2:30 wake up. That's
have you thought about moving closer to where you work?
Well, I used to live in Burlington with my
Chris Shepard.
With my ex, so that was a lot closer. But stuff happens, Boom, and you move on and you move back to Niagara.
You're closer to Buffalo, though. Let's not talk about the negatives.
You know what? Somebody's a cheating, you know what, Boom, and sometimes you got to move back home. But that's fine. It's okay. There's no wounds. I'm completely over it.
Sometimes you pack up your cassettes and your couch and you just go home. That's it.
That's it. You got to do it.
I botched this entire interview.
It's okay.
You
know this man?
Boom. I like to swim around the pool of truth, and everything I'm telling you right now is all truth.
Fair enough. All right. So what's are people getting excited for the Blue Jays? Are they excited about the Leafs?
Yeah.
Is it all of
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of optimism with the Blue Jays. It's just we're all worried about the starting rotation, right? Because, and I think this was a big miss by Ross and Mark. They had a great offseason, bringing in George Springer. You hit an absolute home run, of course, bringing in the top positional player, free agent. But again, the rotation was something that we were all saying you need to improve, you need to get better at. And when you were kind of relying on Nate Pearson to be that number 2 starter in your rotation, a guy who really was injured last year, and we know how electric his stuff is, but you put a lot of eggs in that basket, and you were hoping he would be ready for opening day, and now he's dealing with this groin issue. We don't know when he'll be pitching for the Blue Jays. And Thomas Hatch goes out yesterday with forearm elbow tightness, which is never a good thing for a pitcher. This rotation's very, very dodgy. And it's okay because this bullpen looks like it could be very good, and you could always go out there and improve your starting rotation at the deadline, and the Blue Jays are rich with prospects. But the rotation is such a big question mark heading into this season. And to me, there's no more bigger, important player on this team than Hyun-Jin Ryu. If that guy isn't Hyun-Jin Ryu, this team's in some big problems. Yeah, they're going to score a ton of runs, and it's going to be fun to watch. But, man, how are they going to get the innings from the pitching staff?
You March Madness wound up here or what?
Yeah, you know what? It's been a different March Madness this year. Usually I kind of start to follow what's going on at the end of February, but with all this craziness, when it all comes to what you should look at, who you should look for, it's been the most difficult season. And I talked to you guys about this about a month ago. If you really do your homework in the NCAA, it is absolutely there's money to be made. And we had a guest on the show on Sunday on Inside the Lines, Connor Allen, and he had this terrific nugget that all your listeners should look at when they're filling out their bracket. 17 of the last 18 champions who cut the nets down at March Madness were top 6 in adjusted efficiency margin. It's just this metric. You can go out there. Ken Palm does it. It's a fantastic metric. If you're just filling out your bracket, just look for adjusted efficiency margin, look for which team is better, and just pick those teams. 17 of the last 18 champions have been top 6 in that metric. It's can't miss in the last 18 years. If you have no idea about what you're doing in your NCAA bracket pool and you actually want to win, just look at that metric. Adjusted efficiency margin by Ken Palm.
I've never heard a good explanation for it.
Okay.
There are play-in games to get to your 64. That's been added in recent years, correct?
Yeah.
Why aren't those teams the lowest seeded in their brackets if they're the 2 teams playing for the right to get into the
that is a fantastic question.
Is that not insane?
It's just a cash grab for the NCAA, right? Just have more games, more interest, more eyes on your product. And we saw the 16 playing games in years past, and now you're having like 2, like an 8 and a 9 squaring off against each other to see who's going to get in. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I know why they do it, to have more eyeballs, but why they pick those specific schools, I have no clue, Pinder. I wish I could have a good answer for you. I'll find out for you on Sunday. We'll have an NCAA guest. I'll find out, and the next time I'm on, I will absolutely have an answer for you.
So yeah, we got the 16 seed. They're in. But these 2 teams are going to play each other, and the winner of that, they can be a 13. Like, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. But again, March Madness is fun. It starts Friday, and I'm excited for it.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to take any steam away from that.
That's okay.
Apologies.
Don't insult our guests, Ryan.
I'm not. I'm asking for help.
I know. So, how's Austin's wrist?
Okay. Apparently, it's fine. You see instances where he's passing up shots when maybe he shouldn't be, and should be firing the puck. And obviously, the sports science people with the Maple Leafs think it's good enough for him to constantly be in the lineup. But it's clearly an issue right now, and we've seen a little bit of it. And it's full panic here in Toronto, guys. Like, it is just. Is this team good enough? There's so much PTSD when it comes to the Maple Leafs and not winning a playoff round in like 16 years. Is this team good enough? And you see a lot of regression with how they played, because that series against the Oilers where they absolutely shut down McDavid, where he didn't have a point in 3 games. That was the pinnacle of the Maple Leaf season when you guys got like CJ tweeting out stuff, this team's a juggernaut. We all need to slow down on how great this team is. But it's just been a little uneven lately with the Maple Leafs, and I think their blue line's getting exposed a little bit. Although you guys will be happy to know TJ Brody has been fantastic for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has been so solid, that first pass, that D-zone coverage, covering up for Morgan Riley in instances. TJ Brody has been fantastic for the Maple Leafs on that top pair. I just feel like that second pair, namely Justin Hall, he's getting exposed a little bit, and we've seen that here lately. The blue line's always been a sore spot for this team. Is it good enough to win deep into the playoffs? I'm not sure, and lately it hasn't looked the best.
Trade deadline less than a month away. Who are some of the names being kicked around there as potential rentals or landing?
You're hearing pie in the sky stuff like Ricard Raquel from Anaheim. Everyone loves Philip Forsberg. Matthias Ekholm is a guy that Leaf fans would absolutely love to have. I just don't know how you fit him in under the cap structure. But I would imagine the Maple Leafs are going to add a top 6 forward, Kyle Dubas. And why do we do this midseason press conference thing? I have no idea why we need to hear from the GM in the middle of the season. But when Kyle Dubas spoke to the media, he said, yeah, we need to address our top 6. We can go out there. We're willing to deal prospects. We're willing to deal picks. I could see that. And the Maple Leafs have the luxury of where they are in the standings right now to acquire a player from the States, let them have that 2-week quarantine, ease them into the lineup. I think they're going to get a top 6. In my opinion, I think they should still try to acquire a top 4 blue liner because I'm just not sure about that second pair with Muzzin and Hall.
It's interesting you mentioned the midseason GM chat. That's usually reserved for teams that are circling the toilet bowl. Like Treliving had to do it here before the coach got fired. Benning had one a couple of weeks ago on the same day. We've heard Kekalainen in Columbus do one. The latest, I believe, was in Buffalo. Like, isn't that when you're a bad team that you do the midseason GM chit chat?
And again, I know it always puts a big smile on my face. And I'm a Toronto media member. Some of the softball questions the Toronto media asks the coach and the general manager, it's kind of laughable when people say, oh, it's such a media market to play and it's so hard. No, it isn't. There's just a ton of coverage. The questions isn't hard. This isn't Philadelphia. This isn't in Buffalo where Mike Harrington is questioning the players if they care about the city of Buffalo or not, to have pride to play for the Buffalo Sabres. No, this isn't any of that. It's just softball question after softball question to the general manager. And you're right, Pinder. I have no idea why they had it, why it was necessary. And what did we get out of it? Yeah, okay, the Leafs want somebody to play on that second line with Tavares and Nylander, and you'll probably see Alex Galchenyuk when the Flames do play the Maple Leafs tomorrow night. He was skating on that left side with those two, the guy they picked up in that trade. He's a guy that obviously had a great year, great couple years in Montreal, and then has fallen off the face of the earth. And now Leaf fans think maybe the Leafs are the team that could reignite that guy who scored 30 goals in the NHL. But you'll see Alex Galchenyuk against the Flames with Tavares and Nylander on Friday night.
What can I ask about? You know what I'm going to ask about, don't you?
Bills?
No.
Okay.
The other team there.
The Sabres?
Mm-hmm. Like, is the stink coming across to your part of Niagara Falls, or is it just...
Red, you're a proud Buffalo Sabre. The organization was great. And it's funny to me how ownership isn't getting any blame here, right? Like, ownership is getting a ton of the blame. And it's funny because of this. We see what they've done with the Bills. Essentially, they've let Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott do their jobs, and the Bills are now a perennial playoff team. I love what they did in free agency, bringing in Emmanuel Sanders. But what they're doing with their team, I have no idea how much meddling is going on by the owner. I was there the day Terry Pagula was announced as the owner of the team with Gary Bettman there. And he cried because he had some of the French connection there. Gilbert Perreault was there. He's been a diehard fan since the 1970s. And I think this is all ownership, Brett, and they cut a lot of their funding when it comes to pro scouts and player development. They don't want to pay a ton of that, and I think this is butting them in the ass. You have an inexperienced GM in Kevin Adams, and I think behind the scenes you have guys making decisions who shouldn't be making decisions. When Pat LaFontaine was hired as the president of hockey ops, and he said after 6 months, I'm piecing out. I can't do this anymore. People who have no idea what they're talking about or played even in the NHL or have any hockey experience are trying to tell me how to run the team. I'm out. You know there was a problem then, and that problem continues with the Buffalo Sabres because it's just an absolute laughingstock. And it's a tragedy because, as Rhett, you know, they're great fans in Buffalo. The number one television market in the United States for hockey is the city of Buffalo. They love their hockey. They even care about what's going on in Rochester. They absolutely live and die by the Sabres. But it is bad, and they need to grab somebody who can change that awful, awful culture, bring in some experience to help Kevin Adams out, because, man, it looks brutal. Is Mike Babcock the answer? I don't know. He might be, because he almost went there a few years ago.
Gosh.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. He was going there until a last-minute Hail Mary from the Leafs, right?
Yeah. And would the Leafs allow him because he's still under contract with them? I don't know. Maybe, so they can get rid of that $6 million a year they're paying him. But maybe he's the guy they need to flip that culture around, because it's toxic there. When Ryan O'Reilly says, I got to get the hell out of there, and goes and demands a trade, you know something was up when he goes to St. Louis, wins the Cup and the Conn Smythe. The culture in Buffalo is just brutal, and it's so interesting between the Sabres and the Bills are the same ownership, and one team has Super Bowl aspirations, and the other is the laughingstock of the NHL.
Man, that's a great point about LaFontaine. We'd forgotten about that. That's such a canary in the coal mine when you look back.
Oh, no question. He's like, I can't do this. Guys who are working in the natural gas industry, and Terry Pagula made all his money doing that, are telling Pat LaFontaine, a Hockey Hall of Famer, how to run the team. Yeah, no thanks, I'm out. And everyone loved Pat LaFontaine in Buffalo. Everyone still loves Pat LaFontaine in Buffalo.
Yeah, LaFontaine, Warner, the greats of the greats have been cast off, and you'd think they'd bring them back into the fold, especially during these trying times to appease the fan base, but I guess not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys are ready to have some fun before we go?
Oh, do you?
Oh, you got to.
Really?
He's always ready. I love this guy.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Just real quick, Rhett, I love the Emmanuel Sanders signing by the Bills. I love it.
He doesn't know who he is. Don't try.
No, he knows who Emmanuel Sanders is. He's third receiver now on that team. He's not a number one and number two anymore at this part of his career. But that's what smart teams who have their S together do. They take advantage of a team like the Saints who couldn't afford to keep Emmanuel Sanders. They bring him in, give him a great, solid third option for Josh Allen. I love that signing.
He's
by
thinking
the Buffalo Bills.
He's thinking of Colonel Sanders. That's what he's saying.
All right.
He's like, is this the Manny being Manny guy? Is that
the double down?
Yeah.
The double down.
It's a good signing, Rhett. You should be happy. Emmanuel Sanders is great for the Buffalo Bills. All right. You guys ready to have some fun?
Yes.
Please.
We've done this before, but it's essentially a 1-year anniversary since I... Yeah. Yeah, it's a 1-year anniversary since I did Coronavirus Confessions. It's literally pretty much 1 year to the day since this segment debuted on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm going to go first. And full disclosure here, as I said, I like to swim around in the pool of truth. I want to confess something that's completely true. I've been on a muting binge when it comes to some of my coworkers because I just can't take the Maple Leaf fandom anymore at points. When I hear Zach Hyman should get $7 million a year, I can't do it. When I hear Justin Hall's above-average defenseman, who is no doubt a top-4 blue liner in the NHL, I can't do it anymore. When I hear Jack Campbell should maybe be the number one goaltender in the playoffs instead of Freddie Anderson, I just can't do it anymore. I've muted a ton of my coworkers. I don't care. I just can't see the Maple Leafs fanboy anymore. I had to do it. I had to mute a lot of guys.
Confessions.
Boom, you want to go?
Boy, Well, I know the last time we did it, I talked about my puzzle obsession, and
Tell him what you did. Tell him what you did on the weekend.
I mean, I guess I'll double it up, but I got more excited on Saturday. I was legitimately more excited for something on Saturday than I have been, I think, in 6, 8, 10 months. As my wife told me, those puzzles you like, they're on sale over at Walmart. So I raced to Walmart, and as I was walking, she's like, yeah, it's not in the usual section. It's on the end of one of the aisles over by the toys. And as I was walking close, I saw it. And then I saw the price above, and I made the following noise under my mask to myself and no one else. Oh.
Confessions.
I spent $117 on puzzles Saturday.
On puzzles?
On sale?
On sale? How many puzzles is that?
Well, it's a lot. You know what I'll do? I'm gonna do I'll put a little video up here soon of my puzzle collection and my sickness, I guess.
I like it. Pinder, are you ready to confess some coronavirus confessions? Because before you've said about you haven't showered regularly during the pandemic. As I recall, you're also a very sweatpants wearing guy, and it's all about your sweatpants. Are you ready to confess?
Sure, yeah.
Hit it for him there, Jay.
Confessions.
I just, I look like a vagrant. You mix in the lack of showering and the sweatpants, and now I've had one haircut in the last 14 months, and that was really just to trim the hedges on the side, and I have an afro, and I'm not well shaven. I'm embarrassing my family when I'm in public with them.
Coronavirus. Confessions.
All right, I like it. Rat, we know you've talked about butter and buns. You couldn't get enough of butter and buns. What do you got for us?
Well, the shoveler, a.k.a. the person I live with and share my life, has decided that she wants me to get a haircut because my sideburns are they're like my hair. Like I've let everything just grow so much that it's not really a sideburn. It's not shorter. You can't see my ears, and she's disgusted with me.
Confessions.
Is it as long enough where you should be firing a musket?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And now, I've got my back against the wall, and I'm kind of like, oh, really?
Oh, okay.
You're going to hold me to my feet to the fire?
Yeah.
No way. I'm letting this grow now.
You show her, Rat.
I'm going to.
I like it.
Dig in your heels. Attaboy. Attaboy.
Love it.
Georgie, good to catch up with you, man. Take care of yourself. Quick trip to Marineland today. Quick trip out to
Marineland.
The Skywheel.
Do you have time for a quick Marineland story?
Yeah,
or no?
of course.
Everybody loves
Okay, real
Marineland.
quick. Marineland is just, and thankfully we're talking on this radio station because they actually advertise on my radio station, so we can talk about this real quick. Marineland has just been known for atrocities against animals for years and years and years. And I ran into a guy I went to school with, elementary school, from grades 2 to grade 8. Knew him. I ran into him at the corner store years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago. And I go, hey, Sean, how are you? What are you doing? He goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm just doing stuff on the radio, being a mediocre host. And I go, what are you up to? He goes, I'm a whale trainer at Marineland. I'm like, a whale trainer at Marineland? Wow. I go, did you go to school for that? He's like, no.
What?
Yeah.
Just apply?
I had rubber boots and a pail.
Yeah, you just learn. Just throw some fish into the water.
Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah, they'll jump.
And Georgie goes.
Yeah, don't they have some fancy name for that? No.
Listen, if you didn't go to Marineland in elementary school and get into the deer cage when they were in heat, and then if they didn't tackle you for your lunch, you didn't have the elementary school experience.
Yeah.
And of course at Marineland, they have a bear cage where you buy marshmallows and ice cream cones. Of course that's the natural food for bears. You throw marshmallows down at them.
No. Yum.
And they're fish around? Carp. Oh, what an exotic fish. Wow. Feed the carp. But again,
sucker.
I love Marineland. It's the best.
Of course you do, yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
You know how they got the beluga whale? Hold on, I got one more thing.
All right, yeah.
The beluga whales. There's no way they should have had beluga whales. The owner at the time, R.I.P., John Holler, got on a plane to Russia with suitcases full of money and came back with beluga whales. Jeez. You can't even have beluga whales.
It's like an arms dealer.
It's really it's like
exotic animals. It's like when you see at the border, do you have any exotic pets? John Holler did. He had a plane full of belugas.
It's like Joe Exotic.
Yeah. But whales.
Whales.
Oh, did you go to school to be a whale trainer? No. Oh, that's great.
That's concerning, yeah.
Georgie, good visit, buddy. Good to talk to you again.
Hey, pal.
Take care of yourself.
Talk to you soon.
There you go.
Whew, wow. I learned a lot there.
Somebody texting in, I'm a marine biologist. That's right. Everyone loves marine land. Did you ever go, Rhett?
No, I've never been. We were going to go, but like George said, it's
because it's close to Buffalo, right?
Yeah, it's
Kinda.
close. But still, if you're in Buffalo, and you got what was I going to do when I was playing pro? Or are you talking
No,
with
with
my
the kids. Yeah.
Across the border?
Across the border. Pain in the butt.
Well, we'll break and we'll come back. You just never know with Georgie where it's going to end up. I don't
know what we learned more about.
We'd be talking about smuggling in beluga whales, but here we are.
Moving back to
8:32 Sportsnet 960 The Fan.
Boomer in the Morning is on right now. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course, voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960 The Fan, Calgary.
Here in the iconic downtown studios, powered by Iconic Electric and Controls. Burner Management, it's iconic. Follow them on Twitter at IconicEC. Boomer, Pinder, Warner here on your Thursday morning, 8:39. News within the last 30 minutes. It started with word coming out of Buffalo that the Sabres had canceled their morning skate because a hockey staff member, had entered the league COVID protocol. 15-20 minutes later, the Boston Bruins announced that their pregame skate had been canceled due to a Bruins player entering the COVID protocol. And they have now just canceled the game for tonight. Postponed, canceled, whatever you want to call it. So there will not be a game for you to bet on tonight, Ryan.
We get that returned, huh?
Between the Sabres and the Boston Bruins.
Get it back soon so I could go waste it somewhere else.
So the Sabres, right? You always get that bump after your coach gets fired, new guy comes in, guaranteed win night, swept away for the Sabres tonight. So now
have you checked in on the Habs under the new coach?
Just the first game. I'm not saying they're...
No. I know. I thought maybe you'd want to talk about that. That's okay.
We can if you'd like.
They've won 4 of 11. There's 4 overtime losses in there, but they've won 4 of 11 under Ducharme.
Okay.
Flames are 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, right?
Yeah, 3 teams. To be determined for the Sabres. Yesterday, Craig Adams, the GM, had his media availability after firing Ralph Kruger. He was asked about Taylor Hall. Is there a chance that Taylor could be moved before the April 12 deadline? Quote, "We're open to anything and everything. My job is to do anything and everything to make this franchise move in the right direction. I have a very good relationship with Darren Ferris and Taylor, open lines of communication, and obviously, days are moving forward here, so there will be a lot of conversations around that."
Obvi. The reason he goes out of his way to mention the player and the agent is that Taylor Hall has a full no-movement clause. So any deal would have to be approved by that party.
Yeah, she's a full no-move, isn't it? But he said earlier this month he had interest in re-signing with the Sabres.
He's open to anything. He's got a strong relationship with Kevin Adams.
Now, that was before the firing of Kruger, and I'm not sure if it was before or during the early stages of their current 12-game losing streak. Hall said back on March the 4th, "I'm open to anything. It's not like I've had an amazing statistical year by any means. So in saying that, I've enjoyed my time here. I've really liked the guys, the coaching staff, the way we're treated as players. And like we said from the start, my agent and myself, we're open to anything."
There you go.
Mm-hmm. I was never treating this as just a one-year thing. I was always coming into it open-minded. Well,
that was after 4 losses of the 12 straight.
So roughly 7 or 8 more have come since that time.
8, yeah.
Is that how that works? Yeah. Sorry, Rat.
No, it's not good there.
It's just not good.
It's always darkest before dawn, Rhett. Fear not. I'm sure they're just a move away.
Is that accurate?
My fear is that they're going to make a bunch of trades and moves and start another 3 or 4 years of rebuilding.
It would be easy to screw this up, right? Like if you go move Eichel for 4 or 5 pieces and get like a Thornton or Seguin deal, like a Chiarelli special, it could not go well.
Yeah, I saw some tweet yesterday. I forget what exactly how it was worded, but somebody had said, and remember when people looked down on Patrick Berglund for leaving? Because remember, Berglund was involved in the Ryan O'Reilly trade. He
turned down like $3 million. He's like, no, I'm good.
He played 23 games in Buffalo. And this is a guy that played over 700 NHL games, played 23 for the Sabres, and just left. Like you say, left money on the table, the whole thing. I'm done with this.
Out of here.
Yeah, who knew? Patrick Berglund walking away. Smartest guy in the entire scheme of things.
LaFontaine, too. There you go. O'Reilly as well. There's a pattern here.
Rhett, you say the guys love it. I beginning to wonder if
What's
maybe
not to love, Dean?
Maybe you don't have a vibe on what's going on there. Or maybe you were just drunk the whole time.
Or we won. Maybe
there was that. Yeah, that's the thing that you'll have a hard time right now convincing people that this was a good team with Danny Briere and Vanek and Chris Drury and Pominville at the time. This was an exciting, fast, high octane offense team. Good luck convincing people of that right now, though.
Can't do it.
You probably back when the box was popular. That's when they were good last. Is that about right, or more recently? A little more recent.
A little more, yeah, a little more. We will we'll have our final thoughts. Flames lose to the Oilers last night, 7-3. They're now off to. We've done a pretty good job of avoiding it today, haven't we, men? We've done a pretty decent job of staying out of the way of discussing this game, but we'll get into it a little bit when we come back, because what is there to be said? If you watched the game, you probably saw all there was. One team was ready, the other wasn't. One team's best players were tremendous. The other team, you had a hard time picking or deciphering who the best players were, and they turned the puck over. One team was really good, and the other team wasn't. So we'll really pry away at that. We'll pick away at that scab when we come back. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
On the air, online, on the Sportsnet app, and always on your smart speaker. Boomer in the Morning continues. Brought to you by Grey Wolf Golf Course. Voted BC's #1 public golf course. Open May 7th. Book your tee time today at greywolfgolf.com. Sportsnet 960, The Fan.
Hey, Ryan, what do you got coming up after 9?
Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine will ask him about Darryl Sutter's no-pull philosophy on goalies and whether the Canucks should be pushing their chips in on 960 goaltending. Can't wait for that. Also a little March Madness preview with our boy Jordan the Webb guy. He's probably going to be really nervous and sweaty, so don't miss that one.
Does he get nervous and sweaty?
I think he will be, but I don't know him well enough to suggest that I can guarantee that.
I saw he was doing stuff on Twitter the other day. It's like, hey, look at this! I got on my Twitch with and it was him just sitting and playing video games.
Yeah, that's kind of what Twitch is. Yeah.
Like, what are you? What is this about? Who's this for? I don't understand. I'm trying to be hip. I'm trying to stay hip, guys. Hip. Having a hard time.
Hip to be square. That kind of sounds like this, doesn't it?
Great tune. Great tune.
Closer together, guys.
Closer together. Tighten up the gap, right?
There is some Huey Lewis in the news there. It does sound like that.
Well, I think a lot of that music all kind of sounded...
That's what I mean. It's that genre, right?
What's that guy's deal? What, Huey Lewis? Yeah, what's that guy's deal? Anyway. Darryl doesn't pull goalies.
Not for one shift, second, minute, anything. I believe I'm on record for this. Every team I've ever coached, I do not pull the goalie.
Doesn't do it. Will not do it.
Not doing it, folks.
Not gonna do it. And they need to find a way. If you can't score more, you gotta give up less.
In this division, there's way too much power in terms of offense, and our team has to play a very, very strong checking game. And I think the lesson would be in the first period, we weren't good enough down low in our zone on the first goal. The next goal is a power play goal on a penalty that you don't have to take. And I thought in the second period we were back to where we wanted to go. In fact, I thought there was times where we sustained some pressure and played pretty well, and so we lost the first period, tied the second, and the bottom line is you got to win the third period. And those two power plays, and again, two power plays at the start of the period make it a 5-1 game.
And then a couple more for good measure. 7-3 the final. So I would guess. Well, I shouldn't. I'm just guessing. Practice then fly today. You're going to Toronto.
Yep.
So get a sweat on and get on the plane and get to Toronto in time for a back-to-back set Friday, Saturday night against the Leafs.
Not even time for a bag skate. Got to go, guys. Sorry.
Still find it interesting that 3 or 4 times down the ice, people are calling that a bag skate.
It looked like one at the start, but you probably wait till it's finished before you tweet that, I guess, would be the moral of the story. Is that right?
Bag skate?
Looked like one, and then it was just done.
That's just skating. That's what that is.
It's not a bagger.
Rhett, what was your worst bag skate that you remember?
I didn't have to do it.
Hurt?
Yep. It was here with Big D.
Was it?
Yeah.
Really?
I missed a game with a bad groin, and I think Detroit came in early in this year and tuned us up, and he was not impressed. And it was like, see you in the morning at 7.
7?
I think it was bright and early, and there wasn't a puck that hit the ice, and I had to stand on the bench and watch.
Do you remember what season?
Huh?
You remember which season it was?
First year, like 03, 04.
Wow.
Yep. It was almost worse having to watch, though.
Oh, God.
Right?
I'd have been okay. Very quick.
Team player there.
We've had some erroneous info. Sounds like maybe at this point, Boston Buffalo is still a go for tonight.
Where are you getting your info? Because this is all from you, man. You got to check.
Brett doesn't get emails, Dean. So
I
you
know.
have to,
No, I trust John Shannon, who is tight with Gary Bettman and the league. He had it earlier that this was a postponement, and 2 minutes ago, his tweet: "League team source changes course. At this point, Boston v. Buffalo is still a go. Apologies." So
he might have been right on both accounts too. I mean, this sounds pretty fluid, right?
It does. Well, you have both sides, right? It started with Buffalo and a hockey staff member, and then the Bruins had a player. What are you getting on me about, Warner?
I'm just curious who because if it was the NHL, it's kind of like, geez, make up your mind, fellas.
Yeah.
Or if you were just making up your own mind and running with stories.
I'd never do that.
No.
Never do it. Wouldn't dream of it. Jay, let's do the thing so we can get to Kevin Woodley at a relatively decent time.
Talk about.
What you want to talk about with Boomer in the Morning, brought to you by Varsity Chrysler. The Jeep No Limits event is on now. Experience the Varsity value where everybody rides. VarsityChrysler.com.
960-960, you can text in. This one I'll throw out there. I know how I feel about it. I was thinking